Ladies and gentlemen, welcome. You're listening to the What It Do podcast. Guys, welcome back to another episode of the What It Do podcast. Today we're going to take a little bit different step, because every time Abraham, of course, in the studio, Tiffany, our producer on the ones and twos, and then today's guest, Mr. VIRGIL PACETTI. How are you?
Oh, pretty good. Thank you for having me.
Oh, man, thanks for coming on. It's a little formal. We're never formal, but I'm not real. Like, of course, the way we were talking before the podcast, before we started, that I don't know the inner workings of anything that goes on, I saw some of your posts, and I was just, I was intrigued, and then I got mad. So it really opened my eyes to the fact that, hey, I'm totally oblivious to the shit that happens in San Angelo.
Right.
So I see your stuff. I saw Carla Cadena, she was, I guess she post some of her own stuff, and I'm like, wow, there's a lot of people that really know what's going on. And like, we talk about it on the podcast a lot, but we have no fucking clue. No.
I mean, the most we really got into is whenever the property taxes went up and we were trying to find out, well, who can I talk to about this? Well, then they send you like a letter. Well, it's your local. Well, of course, the state. It's not up to us. It's the local government that that increases your property taxes. But then you go and try and talk to somebody in local government. Oh, well, it's the state that told us that we need to. You got to contact this person, and everybody pushes it on to somebody else, and it just keeps going and going. You just end up in this circle, and you don't ever find out. Well, who is actually responsible for the increase? Still don't know. No.
Well, it's funny you bring that up because
my
I was side project before I ever got into doing the school district. I've done that same deep dive into the appraisal district. Mm-hmm. So as much as I know about the school district, I can tell you the inner workings of the appraisal district. Well, so I can tell you exactly why that.
Yeah, SAISD, the school district, has a big chunk of everybody's property taxes as well. So
yes,
seeing you talk so much and learn and know so much about what's going on with the school district is interesting because that affects everybody. Like everybody that pays taxes in San Angelo, that affects them. People don't realize that.
Yeah. And to give you a platform, it's not like we're a huge podcast or nothing like that, right? But yeah, I feel just giving you another avenue to spread your stuff, because you can't cancel me. Fuck, bring it on. There's nothing, you can't chase me, There's nothing. I don't test it, please. But
they're gonna pull your wolf ticket, man. They're like, I got it right here.
I got it right here. You done?
I got you.
You're done. But just that, reaching out, giving people that do their homework.
Yeah.
Because like I said, I've joked about it tons of times where I'm just like, I want to run for mayor, and I'm gonna change shit. I'm gonna use my podcast as an avenue to just air everything out. Well, this is what happened, and it's kind of one of those. It's like, hey, that was a backdoor meeting we have. I don't do backdoors. Everything that you told me, I'm gonna regurgitate on here. And I'm like, can you believe that somebody just told me that?
Yeah.
Can you believe that this is what's happening? Or what? Not even to talk about all the bad shit, but talk about the good shit too. Hey, this is what's happening.
Make it all public knowledge.
Yes, there you go. Make it public
knowledge.
Because
it should be, because all these people are working for the public.
Yeah. And I don't know how much pull the fucking mayor has, but I'm like, hey, meetings at 9:00 in the morning, done. They're done. Yeah.
This needs to be during times when people can actually make it.
It's like, and then on top of that, it's just, you hold these bullshit meetings at either 9:00 in the morning or 6:00 or when everybody's at work or they're just getting off of work, trying to get home, trying to live their lives, It's like, all right, that's over with. And I don't know how much pull the mayor has, but another one would be, look, you need a certain percentage of the population to vote. You can't just be like, well, no one showed up. Only Tom, Dick, and Harry showed up, and they're part of the good old boys. So they get to vote. And this is how we're going to go off of.
Well, this is what's scary. So you saw that they voted unanimously to bring in that $40 million bond.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. And then the school board's voting next week on either 170 million, to something, or right under 400.
Yes, I saw that.
And they had a lady that her whole thing is how to get bonds passed. And so if you watch the last meeting, she comes on there and she said, if you do it during a May election, I've looked at the historic data, only 5% of the population shows up.
Yes.
And of that population, most of them are over 65. So the way we sell it is to say, hey, vote on this bond. It ain't going to cost you nothing anyway because your taxes are already froze. And so I'm like, why would you, with that knowledge, want to have a May election? You should do it during a November one, when the most people can come. And instead,
because they want to get more money,
you want to do it when only 5% of the population shows up, because you know that then. And they said, and then she also said that 5% that shows up are typically higher education level.
Yes.
And so it's easier for them to understand the message.
God damn it.
And so they're like,
crazy.
So they already have everything ready to drop. So if on
they've done their research and they've figured out the analytics. Like, okay, this is how we do this.
They paid her around $200,000 for that data.
So if we do voting during this time, we have a better chances of it getting passed. And this is how we do the demographics on everything.
Yeah. Which is
crazy.
I
bet you they paid her good for that.
Yeah.
Didn't they?
Oh yeah, $200,000. So just to get ready, just for the bond, to get ready for this bond, we got $500,000 to Park Hill to do the assessment of the buildings. We got $200,000.
Park Hill.
That's the architect.
Okay.
And they're out of Lubbock. And what scares me about them is when they came down and they did their like resume, you know, hey, check me out. This is what I did. Like, hey,
peacocked it.
Yeah, hey, what's up, homie? You know, this is what I know. They're all ex-DOD. They all came from the Department of Defense. And you know the Department of Defense is known for saving money, right?
Yeah,
you know, like,
they're great at it.
They're like, oh, you need a toilet seat? Like $600, man. You know,
you need $600 million for sushi?
Yeah, no problem. You know?
Oh, man.
Oh, I sent you that. Oh, that pissed me off, man. $600 million with the I don't know if the DOD or the Pentagon spent last year on sushi.
That's crazy.
That's insane. You know, anyways.
So that for them to come tell us that our schools suck, I mean, I could have told you for free, was $500,000. Then they paid this political analyst another, I don't know, 150, 200, because they paid her for Prop A and this one. So combined, it's over 200,000. And then they had these meeting facilitators that came down.
So that money that they're paying her with is our fucking money.
Yeah, it's the tax dollars. It's straight out of the
They're
general
paying
fund
somebody money that's ours to screw us out of our money.
to tell them how to get a bond passed with the least amount of voters. So instead of saying,
Is everybody listening? Pay attention.
and that
Pay
vote
attention.
that they're doing a 25 to 30 year amortization. So I'm 48 right now, so I'll be paying on this bond until I'm 78.
Jesus.
So that 400 million is over 25 to 30. It's like a mortgage.
Yeah, yeah.
Because we're still paying on the 2008 one.
Didn't if I'm not mistaken, on this last vote during the presidential election, the very last question on there was a local bond.
That was Prop A.
That was Prop A.
That's so.
That got passed too, didn't it?
It passed by 60-40. But that really, the way that they did it, they moved it around. It didn't really cost you anything. Now, if you would have voted no, you would have got a discount. But if you voted yes, it didn't raise it because the state was matching like 3-1. That's what
Okay.
That's what they keep calling the golden pennies.
Yeah.
But it was still going to cost. I mean, it's still gonna, even if it's a little bit, it's still a little bit increase to your property tax.
No, year over year. So like last year, now's January 1, we started the new year.
Yeah.
If you had voted no and it passed, you would have got a discount. But since it passed, it's the same.
Same. Okay.
So it was a cost. It would have been a cost avoidance if you said no. Mm-hmm. But if you said yes, they got that extra $6 million, but it really didn't cost you nothing.
Yeah, because you've already spent the money.
But they were sneaky the way they said it. So what they
worded it weird, yeah.
Is right in like September of last year, they said, okay, let's just say 10 cents. They're like, our taxes are 10 cents. We're going to lower it to 8. And then they said, okay. And then the very next day they said, hey, if you raise it to 10, then the state will match because we got these magic pennies, the golden pennies. And so that's how they said, well, your taxes don't go up, but they never said that if you vote no, you get a discount.
Yeah.
So they didn't really, and I try to put it out there, and they're like, you know,
hey guys, it's free.
It's free. It doesn't cost you nothing, and it really was a good deal because it is matching money. It's just I don't trust the leadership with an extra $6 million a year.
Well,
they're going to turn around and pay somebody $200,000 to figure out how to screw us out of
But it's almost
money.
like girl math, though, right? Where it's like, hey,
I got a coupon to Target, so I save money.
I save money. I was like, no, but you spent money to buy the shit you were going to buy, so you really didn't.
No, I saved you money.
Yeah, I saved you money because I had a coupon.
And see, then they said, well, if you come and vote May 5th of this year, see, you're not going to show up, so I don't even have to talk to you. They're like, so you can take your ideas and go over there. We're going to keep.
Oh my God.
Yeah,
that's my wife right there.
How many bonds did they pass every year?
They haven't passed one since 2008. So
Okay.
that was the last one.
And that was the one to build, to put the building central? Is that
Well, they did it a bunch of
Or was that the parking lot for Fort Concho?
no,
yeah.
I kind of ruined that for them. Boy, they were hating me.
Yeah.
They're like, how did you find out about that parking lot?
Oh, was that the one right across the street?
Yeah, so that
okay.
guy, and you go back to taxes, right?
Yeah.
So if you look at that guy's taxes, the same guy had owned it for like 15, 20 years.
Yes.
Just some dude, and he's like, hey, I got a little plot of land. People like to own the, like my uncle, everybody was always like, I'm going to get a little plot of land and I might build a house. I don't know.
Yeah.
And the taxes were always so cheap, right? They were like a couple $100. Well, then the appraisal district decided to come in and reappraise all the land. And so his taxes went up and it forced him to have to sell it.
Uh-huh.
So then he sold it to an investor in Mertzen. And then that guy immediately then doubled the price and tried to get the principal there then to run it up the chain because they needed a parking lot because all the parents that came to stuff at Fort Concho from Bentwood didn't want to park their Escalades in the street. And they were going to get it until I saw it. And I'm like, well, I thought we were broke.
Yeah.
And they're like, and then what did they do?
awesome.
They did a no vote. They didn't even vote on it. They tabled it.
Wow.
So they're like, oh, well, we're not even 5-0. You can't even say we voted on it because we tabled it.
Yeah, that's
Fucking
crazy.
wow.
But that's what's scary is they raised that guy's taxes and it forced him to have to sell.
Mm-hmm.
Otherwise, he'd have sat on it.
Oh, shit. See, when I heard that, I thought, this investor just came in and paid pennies for the land and then just, hey, I didn't know that they raised the taxes on them. I just
No, they raised the taxes on the guy
The original
that owned it.
owner.
on the original owner.
Yeah.
And and then so his taxes went from like $200 a year. He's like, I can cover that. It went up to like $700 or $800, and he's like, the holding costs are too high.
See, and I thought that guy was part of because I'm like, this guy has to. Whoever bought the land,
I think the
bet
guy
he's
from Mertzen probably knew somebody.
Yeah, so he's like, hey, I'm making a quick buck right here.
Yeah.
Could be.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've tried to do FOIA requests for all those emails, and they
Stop it, Virgil. Stop it, Virgil.
they're like, you're doing too much. Stop.
That's hilarious. God, I love this.
Hell yeah.
It almost seems like kind of like some spy shit. You know what I mean?
No, it really is though.
Yes.
I mean, if you look at the
Some
stuff they do,
espionage.
and when I get their emails, it's like reading someone's diary because I can tell you by the way they write, the smiley faces, the exclamation marks, I can tell you who wrote the email.
Oh, wow.
Because they have it's almost like getting into their psyche or something. They have a certain tone,
Yeah.
and I'll be like, oh, I know who wrote that. And,
Yeah.
and so now when they release stuff, I can tell like if someone else wrote it and then gave it to the superintendent because I can tell by their everybody has their own
yeah.
little idiosyncrasies.
Yeah.
And I can be like,
It's like in text messages. Everybody has a certain way.
yeah, so like, you always see on spy movies, like someone stole the phone and there was like, hey, this, you'd be like, that's not, like if Abraham texted you and then all of a sudden I stole his phone and I'm trying to, jack your truck and I'm like, hey, meet me over here, blah, blah, blah. You're like,
He's like, the spelling's very correct.
Ouch. Ouch.
he's like,
Ouch. Okay, I spell decent.
No,
all right?
I wasn't making fun of you. I was trying to make fun of myself.
yeah, he's like,
I'm not a very good speller, so I'm apparently not a good listener either.
The fact that Oscar laughed at that, like it was him by himself.
it's like, what's all this punctuation at the end? Is it supposed to just run into like one long
Exactly right.
like- so that's funny because me
yeah.
and my best friend, we have like a code word thing, and I'll be like, hey, remember when we were 10 and we were on the walkie-talkie, and what was your call sign? And he'll be like, blah. I don't tell no one.
Yeah. Oh, no, that's
so if anything ever goes down, and I think like someone, maybe some stuff's going on, and someone got his phone or something.
Have you seen the warnings from the FBI? So with AI being so good and constantly getting better,
Oh yeah.
especially now with facial recognition technology.
Oh yeah.
So somebody can call you with the voice of a loved one.
Right. Come get me.
Dad, I
yeah.
need you to send me, X amount of dollars to help me get out of this, whatever. And it sounds just like them, And then with the facial recognition, it can even be a FaceTime call.
Right.
And it's an AI image.
Well, then I know it was wrong because nobody wants to see me. They're like, oh my God, a bear stole your phone or something.
Yeah, but the FBI is saying to get like secret passwords or some type of something that y'all say to each other. That way nobody else would know. That way you could always check that just to
Red
make sure
pigeon.
it's them.
It's like a safe word for you and Abraham.
Yeah, ours is orange.
I was thinking pineapple, but
Yeah,
it's orange. I mean, that's cool.
Upside down
just 'cause-
pineapple.
Because when something happens, he's like, "Well, I don't know if he said the fruit or the color." So, yeah, that's funny.
We went way off there though.
Yeah,
but
yeah, yeah. But
Anyways,
yeah,
when you
let's go
start
back.
digging into their stuff, you start seeing these patterns, and you see, and
Yeah.
then you got to remember that they bragged about it. They're the third largest employer in Tom Green County. They got 1,300 employees.
The school district.
Yeah.
Okay.
So just if they get their employees to go vote May 5th, it's not even a public vote. They have enough. Wow. They have enough to do it. And then they're down to about 170, but they get $178 million a year from the state.
No kidding. So with that and the county,
No, that's their
the-
total budget.
that's their total budget.
So
Okay.
what happens is the county sends all the money to the state, and then the state sends it back. And so we're actually we don't pay enough taxes to pay for our school. So there's other rich counties somewhere that are subsidizing us.
Oh, okay. So 100.
And so that's why when you ask the appraisal district, why are you going and doing all this stuff? And they said, oh, well, because the state doesn't audit. And if we're not plus or minus 5%, they're like, well, since you're a net loser instead of a net payer, they want to make sure your people are paying at least enough.
Yeah.
And so, but that doesn't mean that the new, the guy at the appraisal district, whoever it might be, doesn't mean that he doesn't go a little too strong-handed because, just like with the lots, all of a sudden people that have been paying nothing, all of a sudden it's through the roof and they don't understand why. And like you said, you go down there and they're just like, oh, it's, it's magic. And then they're just like, well, just pay and you're okay,
Yeah.
But it's all interconnected. So the school board, there's eight votes for the appraisal district. So essentially at the appraisal district, there's a board there. And those people's only job is to hire the senior appraiser guy. And then kind of a little bit of oversight. And so the school board gets 5 of those votes. So essentially they control the appraisal district as well. And so they put in the 5 people that they want, and then those 5 people choose who's there. So they're definitely interconnected.
No kidding. God,
Yeah. So they, like you said, it seemed like they were all
all
tied up.
immediately. Yeah.
They are, because if the school board decided they didn't like what was going on over there, they could tell their people either vote them out, and then if their people said no, they vote that person out, and then get someone in there that will vote them out.
Oh wow.
So
like their own little mafia.
So the appraisal district actually works for the school board, and every month on the thing, I'll see 150,000, 170,000 that goes to the appraisal district to pay. The school board pays them, so they're paying their salaries.
No kidding.
So when you say, "Well, who runs this place?" No one here got voted in. It ties back to the school board. That's
the
who
ones that put them in
runs
their place.
That's who runs it, because they pay them. Now the city pays them and the county pays them, but the big chunk is the school board.
Yeah.
And so when you look at their budget every month on the thing, there's a big fat check every month that goes to the appraisal district, and that's their operating money.
And that's how much?
I mean, it's some months it's over 200,000. I mean, it's
No kidding.
that's a lot of money. I mean, that's what pays all those employees.
Yeah.
So it is all interconnected. It's not just a feeling
Yeah.
that you have.
Yeah. Because
It-
I mean,
It is.
Yeah.
It's what's happening.
Yeah. Oh man, it's just like it's a group of good old boys, right? I mean, back in the days, what they used to call them, right? It was like you have your teamsters of that they want to get their shit done the way they want to get it, and if you don't play ball, then you're fucking out. And like you said, you'll get somebody in there who will play.
Somebody
ball.
lines somebody else's pockets, and that person lines somebody else's pockets, and they're all just kind of take care of each other.
Oh man.
You know.
Well, it's definitely an inner circle and an outer circle, and unfortunately, I think we're all on the outside of the circle.
Yeah. It's a big club. We ain't in
And
it.
the inner circle is usually it's old money and money.
Yeah.
And they have to let some people in because you do have to come from that district, but they're handpicked.
No kidding.
So I
how
mean,
much money y'all got to make to get into this club? I gotta expose them all. I bet you know what? I bet they have like fucking red parties, right? One of those fucking
the red room
parties.
the red room party.
God, 'cause because there is a lot of money in San Angelo.
Well,
There's
if you saw him, you would want to go to that
no.
party.
I'm like, ugh.
You're like, what's up with the baby oil? I'm like, oh, I'm out.
Is this
I'm
a
like,
Diddy party? We're having a Diddy party. Oh,
No,
crazy.
you wouldn't want to be partying with these people.
So, God, I don't even know where to go with this because there's a lot of distractions.
Yeah,
And
sorry
then-
about that.
No,
we had some technical issues going
Yeah,
on, but we got to take care of it.
We're good now.
Did you forget to pay your phone bill? Is that what it was?
No, I paid
Because
my
I saw
phone
him
bill.
switching phones, and
Yeah.
I was like, dude, I told you to get off that cricket.
It's
You need-
that
you
fucking
need to get
T-Mobile.
something
It's that
good.
T-Mobile.
Yeah, you got
It was
that.
SAISD. They contacted T-Mobile. And they were
They're
like,
like, hey,
man.
they got Virgil in the studio.
Oh, and this
You got
is
it.
how I knew something was wrong, because they still use Optima.
Oh no.
oh, what the hell?
I'm like, who still use Optima? Everybody else went to the better
Yeah,
stuff.
Frontier.
What, it was like anything but Optima. I mean, well, it was Suddenlink, but
Yeah.
everybody hated them so bad, and
That
when
place-
and SAISD is like, oh, we love Optima. I think they pay them like over $1 million a year.
Yeah, that's where most of our money goes, is paying fucking Optima.
Yeah,
Jesus.
that's the
Oh,
only
they're
reason
great
that
service.
building's still there.
Yeah,
What was that?
I don't know. What was it?
That wasn't me.
And
that was me. Well, I tell you, it's
That phone needs to go in the trash.
stop. All right, it's an iPhone 8. All right.
Yeah, no. Whenever it was Suddenlink, I was already pretty damn sick of them. But there was nowhere else to go, and then it became Optima, and it got worse. I didn't think it could get worse.
Oh yeah, they're like,
It got worse.
I wonder if they're paying $1 million to Optimum just for all the equipment that
Well,
got returned.
so the only reason
but they
that-
never saw it.
I think Optima now makes most of their money now of people using their fiber optics.
yeah,
You know what I mean?
they're like subbing it out.
yeah, subbing it out. Yeah, yep.
I didn't know they could do that.
I'm sure they can. They own it. You know.
Why wouldn't?
Yeah.
Well, like in my neighborhood, they ran one company in the alley and one company in the front. So I'm like, I guess, I don't know. I know it was Verizon in the front, and I don't know who was back there. I call them
Frontier.
Yeah, Frontier.
Chuck holes. 'Cause my alley used to be nice, and then after they were done, I was like,
Oh yeah, that was.
Oh, yeah.
yeah, that was Frontier.
That was Frontier.
That was Frontier. Yeah, they.
And then
fucked
you
up
would
a lot.
call in, and they're like, oh, well, we put some dirt on it. I
It's
mean,
this whole
pretty
like,
good.
how did that happen? How did San Angelo end up with just one cable internet provider? Like, what the hell? What happened? I mean, obviously there was somebody that took care of somebody within the city council to make sure that these guys are the main one in
Yeah.
charge.
Kind of like with Shannon.
Kind of like what that's where I was going.
Shannon.
That's exactly where
Well,
I was
it's
going.
funny you bring up Shannon
Shenangelo.
because two of the
We're gonna
board
get shot.
members work for Shannon. So Dr. King is
course.
El Presidente, and he's a urologist. And we need to pull up the clip because in 3 board meetings ago, he was reading the thing and he was like, and blah, 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 prostate. And then they all started laughing. And I was like, oh, so when you're not closing schools, you're thinking about prostates. I see. I see how you are.
That's funny.
I was like, don't be looking at me. Don't worry about my prostate.
You
Well,
leave me alone.
Republic Services, that's another thing. That whole situation. Like, how the hell did that happen?
Well, and that's funny because I was selling I told you to sell pumps. One of the guys that owns one of the competitor or whatever, he was in with them, and he came down to buy that pump. Somehow we started talking about trash, and he was like, "Oh yeah, when we try to bid on that, well, some of the people that were helping with the contract, they got a piece of land over in Dallas, and all it said was for $10 and other considerations, and the guy that sold it to him was from Republic, and so he had all that information, and I never could prove it because." I mean, you'd have to know where the land was, but I mean, there was all kinds of conspiracies on that thing.
Yeah.
Oh,
The
yeah.
one that got me was just the fact that like when they got the bid for I think it was $500 million for 10 years.
Right.
And then Texas Disposal came in. There when you found out what their bid was after it was all said and done was literally half of what Republic had put
Yeah.
up. And I'm like, hold on a second. If they came in with literally $250,000, why did we go with the half $500 million?
Right, and then nobody knows.
No one ever said anything. And then the whole recycling shit. When
Oh,
all
that
that
was
took it down,
bullshit.
there was some renegotiation of a contract just because of the recycling.
Yeah.
Because they were losing their ass on it.
And they weren't recycling it anyway. They were just taking it straight to the landfill. They weren't recycling none of that shit.
Well, so-
I
yeah.
think cardboard was the only thing that was actually getting recycled.
Some of it, maybe. Because I know that
because it got to the point where if
true.
they opened that thing up and it was anything other than cardboard, they wouldn't take it.
Yeah. Yeah, because I know China was buying a lot of it. And then when they stopped buying the
there was no market
recycling
for it.
Yeah, there was no market for it anymore. So they basically, hey, we need to renegotiate our contract because we're losing our ass here.
Yeah.
And I'm like, hold on, it's part of the contract. You're the one that set the fucking rules. Why do now you get to dictate when it gets changed? And of course they folded.
Yeah.
But I mean,
Well, what
that's
makes me
here's
mad is every time I go to the dump, their trucks always get to go first. And I'm sitting there.
You're in line?
I'm sitting there for like 3 hours. And I even have a dump trailer, you know, and I'm like, man.
That's why. It's
So I'm sitting there. When you're stuck at the dump, you're daydreaming about two things. How does that guy still work here? Because I feel so bad for that guy. He's got dust and crows and birds attacking him.
The seagulls, it's the damn seagulls.
Yeah, the seagulls, and there's, you know, rata, and, you know.
Which is funny because every time I see the birds circling them when they get near them, I'm like, that dude's a Disney princess. Look at her.
So when I'm not feeling bad for that guy, I'm pissed off because we're like 10 deep.
Oh, yeah.
And they just come right around you, and they don't
right
even
through.
feel bad. I mean, they're like,
Shit.
you know, they know. Yep.
Yeah.
So
I noticed you got a stack of papers.
yeah.
And I'm really curious what's in them.
Well, I mean, there's everything from FOIA requests to what I call the big lie about the earthquake to the Department of Education going after the district for doing us Hispanics wrong.
Really?
Yeah. So essentially, what this complaint says is that there's a two-tier system. There's for the rich and privileged, and then there's for everybody else. And so, like, so this is like the thing. So I met the lady that actually wrote this complaint, and I mean, she typically when you send a complaint off, I mean, it's the government. They're going to go through and say you got nothing. You know, whatever. You didn't do it on the right paper. You use blue ink.
Yeah.
I mean,
that
it's
bullshit. Yeah.
yeah. It's like when you go down to get your tags, and they're like trying to find a reason to send you home.
Yeah.
And man, whoever got rid of that inspection, I'm like, oh.
Thank you, Jesus.
I'm like, I went the other day and I was like, I was shaking, and they're like, $50. I was like, really? I thought it was a lie. I thought they were gonna make, you know, I thought I was gonna go in there, and they're like, no, get your inspection. It was all a lie.
Yeah.
We got you. We got you.
It's like, pull up to Bay 3.
Yeah, we got it. They're like, yeah. And so, you know, this lady and one of the parents and just the little community that came together on this, they put in 11 complaints and 10 of them stuck.
Okay.
And I mean, that's unheard of with the Department of Education, and it's the Office of Civil Rights. And so essentially what they said is, whether the district discriminated on the basis of race or national origin in the context of educational program or activities without a legitimate, non-discriminatory reason. And under that was the subtitle or the header for this one. And so they're saying that, you know, you're getting all this Title I money, you're getting all this federal money, you're getting all this state money. You're supposed to dole it out. Like, it should just naturally occur, you know, like when it rains, it shouldn't be like the rich kid got 3 inches of rain and Abraham got a 1/4 inch, you know.
Right.
Yeah.
It's like it should just naturally disseminate out, you know. It's just nature. So they're like, we give you this money and it should just fall evenly on everybody. There shouldn't be all of a sudden some people get a lot and some people don't.
Yeah.
And so that's what they're saying, that when you give out this money, it shouldn't violate Title VI or Title I or any of this. And so they're saying that essentially Part A, that they were consolidating the bilingual program into a single elementary school in a matter that unfairly burdened the district's EL students. So they used to have, you know, ELS, English as a second language, or you got kids that come in and you know, they were mainly speaking Spanish, and so now they come into school, and so they're trying to assimilate, and so they have extra money and grants to help those kids, you know, come in, and so they used to have it at multiple schools.
Yeah.
And so what the district said is like, oh, well, we want to achieve economy of scale. If we put them all in one spot, then we can concentrate. But that also means that some parents have to drive a lot further.
Yes.
And maybe they won't. They're like, the school's right here. They're like, yeah, but if you want help, you got to go way over to Bradford, even though you live 2 blocks from Fort Concho. Yeah. And some parents are like, I don't have time. I can't. I mean, everybody has their reasons, you know. I got to get it up at 6 a.m. So the only way my kid gets to school is he walks across the street, and now you want me to take him over there. Yeah. And so it caused a lot of people to drop out of the program. And so if you look at our statistics, you know, we're 60, 70% Hispanic in the school district. But our, you know, and then you look at some of the other school districts where maybe it's only 30 or 40% Hispanic, and they have more people in the ESL program than we do. So they have half the Hispanics, but they have 500 kids enrolled in this extra program.
Yeah.
We have double the Hispanics, and we only have a couple in there. Well, because they've made it so hard that nobody wants to get in it.
Oh,
Yes.
man.
And so they put a barrier to entry. So anytime you make something hard, you're going to have people drop out. So that's a program where they should make it easy.
Exactly. Yeah.
So that you want to go like, oh, and then people talk, hey, your kid's having a little problems. You know, you need to get better on this or this. Go here, man. They'll do whatever they can to help you because they get this grant money. Instead, they consolidated all at Bradford and then just said, well, either you go or you don't. We don't care.
Wow.
Yeah.
And so that's the accusation there. And then so here's the next one. Establish a new system for assigning students to the 4 consolidated pre-grade programs that separate students based on race and national origin. And so if you watch a lot of the meetings, they say, oh, our population's going down. You know, we don't have enough kids coming in. Enrollment. And so before a certain administrator got in there, pre-K was like, they were going out and like, you know, hey, we'll feed your kid, we'll bus them in. We want to get them into the system. And if you're in pre-K, then the likelihood of you being in kindergarten and first grade goes up. So we want to get you in the system.
Yeah.
You know, hey, come hang with us. We'll take care of your kid. Free daycare, free this, free milk, free leche. Everybody's happy.
Yeah.
Well, then they decided they were going to make it harder. So they made it, oh, we're only going to do it here. We're only going to do it here. And then a lot of these people that don't speak English would go and they're like, oh, well, you can't come to this one. You have to go over here. And now you have to pay. And then they wonder why pre-K enrollment's down.
Yeah.
And so essentially that's what it's saying, that they're assigning students and consolidating them and trying to put them all into one pot instead of having them spread evenly across the district. They're like, oh, you're Hispanic. Well, you need to go. Your only choice is here, and you have to pay. And then on the flip side, they're like, we don't understand why enrollment's going down. So it's like, it's like the snake eating its own tail.
Yeah.
Yeah. So with the enrollment going down, the funds are still the same. So what happens to all the money?
No, the funds go down. That's why they're short.
Oh,
See,
shit. Okay.
remember I said they used to get 200 million plus. Now they're down to 178 million.
Okay.
And so the whole reason they want this bond is to try to fill that hole. And so for the last 10 or 15 years, all the things they did. So when the CFO before this one was about to quit, I was talking to him, and he was like his last day. So, you know, he was like, you're cool, fuck you, I'm out, you know. You know, he was in that mode, and he goes, look, dude, I'm going to tell you right now, when that COVID money runs over, we're smoked. We are smoked. We're broke as a joke. And he goes, I'm retiring, I'm getting out of here, and I'm gone. And then when that ESSER money ran out, they're like, he said, if they don't get that bond, then all their bad decisions they won't be able to hide it.
Yeah.
But if they can get that 400 million, then they can, nobody caught us. And that's why they're so rabid about trying to get that bond.
Yeah.
Because it's not it's CYA for them. It's not to help the kids.
Yeah.
And if you see the post that there's a lawyer here in town, she put out a post, her name's Karen, and she went to the meeting and she saw how, and they had done her kid wrong too. And she put on there, all you want to do is build a $400 million golden coffin because you're going to put our kids in there, but they're not going to learn nothing. So the community's going to die. So all that bond is a golden coffin.
Yeah.
It's going to look good, but it's going to slowly kill the community because you're not actually teaching the kids.
Yeah.
But they don't get that. They're just like, no, we need that money.
They're just trying to cover their ass with it.
Right,
That's all they're trying to do.
Yeah, I mean, it's like
they don't care about the kids.
It's like when you max out a credit card and all of a sudden those interest payments ain't going down, and then you get that little truth in lending, and it says if you make the minimum payment, you're gonna die with this.
You're gonna die with that debt.
That's what happened. They maxed out the card, and now they're like, we need that 400 million.
Yeah.
We need that.
Oh wow.
And it's gotten, you know, and that's essentially, and I mean, she wrote it best when she said, you're building a golden coffin, because what good is a copper roof at Central if none of the kids can read?
Yeah. That's fucking ridiculous.
And I think that we're talking about that, right? I know I'm not to get real political with this, but they were talking about how they want to dismember the Department of Education,
right?
You know, because it's ever since its conception, our what do you want to call it? The status of our,
Right.
our educated kids has actually been falling
Right.
since its inception. So now they want to get rid of it, but I'm like, do you replace it with something? Where's the problem? Where's the solution here? Where do you fix this issue?
I don't know. I mean, people all say that,
Yeah.
what's the solution? And I'm like,
Yeah. I was like, well,
I don't know. I'm literally a mechanic, so
Yeah.
don't let me be your, don't follow me. I'm not your leader, but I at least want to get the stuff out so people can make.
Oh
their
no,
own
obviously,
decisions.
Yeah.
It's like when I put this stuff out, they're like, why is it always negative? I'm like, well, why do you perceive it as negative? Because if I taught one parent what was going on and maybe they could make an adjustment for their kid once they had the real data,
That's a positive.
then I mean, if I make it better for one person, then it was all for something.
Yeah.
So let's just say this bond doesn't pass. Everything comes to light. What's that mean for the kids? What's that mean for everything?
Well, I mean, at some point they're gonna have
A coming to Jesus.
come to Jesus, and
Yeah.
they're gonna have to say, "Look, this is what's wrong," and reach out to the community and say,
Somebody
We
might
fucked
even
up.
get arrested because there may be some embezzlement or some kind of shit like that going on.
"Well, let me finish
Yeah, no,
these,
go ahead,
these
sorry.
points, and then we'll get into that because I got some stuff that I just found from San Jacinto yesterday that I haven't been able to release yet because I don't even know what." So.
What? Is it getting dropped on the What to Do studio?
So, they consolidated bilingual.
Okay.
And the complaint is that's not helpful for the bilingual kids. It's actually worse because it's like, it's supposed to be back in the day, it was separate but equal. You could keep us separate and then you could keep them over there. But as long as but the Supreme Court said back in the 50s or 60s that you can't do that. It has to be integrated. So why are they trying to consolidate all the bilinguals into one school? Well, because they don't want those bilingual kids to mess up any scores or anything. Because while they're learning English, while they're in that kindergarten and first grade, they're struggling a little. But usually by the third, because I talked to some people that are in that program, usually by the third grade, they blossom.
Yeah.
And then they take off with the other kids.
But don't they average all the scores out to those schools?
They
one?
do, but it's still... And so they don't want those kids at Santa Rita because right now Santa Rita's got perfect A's. And so they don't want none of those kids over there messing them up. So they're like, well, let's just stick them all in Bradford, and then it only messes up one school. But that's not what's best for the kids.
No.
They need to have a chance to go to multiple schools and consolidating doesn't help kids.
Yes. No.
And also, if you have a bilingual kid that's maybe having problems and you stick them all in one room, wouldn't it have been better to have him with like kids that speak English? Because like they say, hey, you learn better by conversation, and if your little buddy's running around and saying this and this, you're going to want to keep up. So you're going to go and say, hey, what's this? What's that? What's that? Como se llama? What's this? I'm
a product of that because my first language was Spanish. I had to learn English in school.
And so... but instead they're going to stick them all in one room and then wonder why they only speak Spanish. Yeah. It's like, because that's all that's here. I'd rather have them out running.
They don't have when they're in a classroom where everybody speaks Spanish, they don't have a reason to have to learn English.
Right.
Versus if they were in a classroom where there was a lot of English speaking kids, well, then they're kind of forced to have to learn.
Right. And I can see having the class, like you might have a special class, but recess should be with all the kids.
Yeah.
Because, and lunch. Mm-hmm. You learn a lot of stuff off of, all these, my kid comes home and he's like, no cap, Riz, this, that. I'm like, what are you saying?
Yeah.
Like,
What language is this?
What are you saying?
It's the new English.
Yeah.
It is.
And I don't even know I don't even know what they call that stuff. I don't even know what they call it.
It's just
Gen
slang.
Z shit.
It's just
It's some weird, Gen Z lingo.
They don't even have. It's so weird. They don't even have a name for it.
Oh, man.
Bunch of boomers.
They're like, what are you from the 1900s? Back in the. You're not even from the 2000s.
From the
That's how old you
Renaissance.
are.
So with the less enrollment that's going on in these schools, it can't be. Are people leaving the city? Are they going to like?
People aren't having as many kids as they used to either.
Yeah, but are we considering TOCA?
So here it is they just spent like $150,000 for this company to do a demography across the thing. And when you go to these meetings, they're like, we can't figure out what's going on. And in fact, one of the board members said, because it all started in 2014 is when the trend started. And so those kids are now about to hit Central. So Central's about to like wither, down.
Yeah.
And they're like, well, was it because of homeschooling? Is that because that's when laptops were invented and people started homeschooling? And I'm like, laptops were invented in 2014, but it's on the school board meeting. And I'm like, you're running the school and you think it's directly proportional.
Let me tell you about fire.
She's like, oh, I've been rubbing those 2 rocks together, but it won't start. And I'm like, it's 2 sticks, lady. It's 2 sticks. She's rubbing
Jesus
rocks.
Christ.
Yeah.
That's
But it's exactly proportional to TLCA.
Oh, shit.
And so they keep saying that, oh, it's the birth rate. It's no, they're going somewhere else.
Yeah. Everyone sees the writing on the wall. That's why they went somewhere else.
Yeah, everybody wants to.
So, and they have it there. Cristoval's gone up. Wall's gone up. Paint Rock's gone up. Miles has gone up. And they never bring up the TLCAs like Voldemort. Like, we don't say that name. Like, we do not speak of the thing.
Yeah. The name does not to be spoken.
Yes. I'm afraid they're going to go and then everyone's going to come back with a T and they're like, we told you don't bring them into your life because then they'll mark you and then they'll know.
Yeah, that's hilarious.
And so but they go up there and they're like, no, it's the pub. There's less kids. There's less this. And I'm like, no, it's you. But they never will admit why.
It's because you suck. That's why.
Yeah.
That's why.
And so anyways, so we got consolidating bilingual, establishing where they're consolidating the pre-K. They're doing the same thing there. So instead of inviting the kids in and getting them before TLCA does, they made it harder to get into pre-K. So it's like now it's easier for them to recruit because your first thing is you go to pre-K and they treat you like crap. Well, then TLC is like,
Yeah,
we got you.
Come on over
we're
here.
faith-based.
Yeah, man.
Come on in.
Check it out, dude. We got all the good stuff, man.
Yeah.
We got a plane outside. We got good. We're right here by the HEB. I mean, you know, it's like we got it going on, you know. And then, so then number 3, failing to provide information to parents about ELO programs. They're supposed to reach out to the community and say, hey, bring you in, but they don't want more EL students. So they just kind of like hope you'll go away. And then if you happen to ask for it, you're like, hey, can I get some information? They're like, and unless you ask the special word, like, well, I need form number 35Z-1. They're like, oh,
shit.
Okay, here, now you can get in. So instead of reaching out to the community, they make it harder.
Yeah.
So that's the third complaint under that subheader. Then we got exiting students from transitional bilingual programs prior to students being proficient. And so the person that wrote this said that what happened is that when they get to 3rd grade, they want to make sure they pass because they don't have any 4th grade teachers and it's so hard. So they were like helping them with the test.
Yeah. Okay.
And so these kids that shouldn't have got passed, should have had got more help, got passed through.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so they were faking the test to get them out so that they could just mainstream them because they didn't want to
push them on through.
So it's amazing they all graduated in 3rd grade and none of them ever needed 4th grade EL. Well, that's because they don't even have a 4th grade EL.
Oh shit.
And what's funny is the person that was in charge of this EL, the English language learning thing, when this complaint came out, a month after this complaint came out, because this came out May 3rd of 2024, got promoted to HR. Never had been in HR in that person's life.
Yeah.
And they said, complaint, lawsuit, losing funding. They're like, you know what? I think you would do great in HR. And then what you can do while you're there is you can investigate yourself. Because we have to investigate this now. And so what we'll do is we'll promote you to HR, give you a raise, and then, hey, figure this out.
Yeah. Oh, that's crazy, dude.
So the person that is being, there
is no checks and balances then? Because if somebody's investigating themselves, where's the checks and balances?
The 2 people that are in charge of HR
in the studio
have no previous experience in HR.
That's ridiculous.
I'm like,
and they got to pay a raise.
Yep.
Damn.
It really just confirms to me that no one knows what they're doing. The older I get, the more I realize that everyone just stands around and no one knows what they're doing.
Yeah.
Everyone just like fake it till you make it. But I'm like, you don't have to fake anything because no one knows what's
Nobody
going
knows,
on.
yeah.
Nobody knows what's going
All
on.
you gotta do is act like you know.
Yeah, because I would show up to the job site, right? There'd be like 50 people on location, and everyone's standing around. You're like, all right, everybody's got a job. Everybody's just like, hey man, you know what's going on? Hey, do you know what we're doing next? I'm like, wait, if you don't know, how the hell do I know?
Yeah.
I'm the the guy on the very bottom of the totem pole.
I'm waiting for Mr. George.
Yeah, I'm waiting for direction.
You're paying him way too much.
Yeah.
He is a no good operator.
Exactly.
He come here and tell us we know nothing. I know what's going on, Mr. George.
That's
This
too
guy
much.
is bad.
Yeah.
He's just son of a bitch, George.
Hey, Mr.
He's
George,
drinking on the job.
what the fuck is a safety man? I don't.
Yeah.
Why is safety man closing? I don't understand. We just want to. Safety man won't let us do nothing.
Yeah.
You pay him too much.
That's right.
That's what someone tells me they're in the oil field. That's the first thing I say. You're not a safety
You're
man.
not a safety guy.
Yeah.
Because if you are, we can't talk. I
No,
can't be around you.
You're the guy
I can't-
everybody hates.
Exactly.
Everybody hates
Exactly.
you.
Oh my God.
Oh man, that's just
There's only two scary things when you're out in the field working on a well or something. Is when you see that RRC truck pull up,
Railroad Commission. Yes.
Yeah.
or the safety
The
man.
safety guy. Yep.
I'm more scared.
Everybody-
I get way more nervous to the safety guy than
I
I
do
do the
too.
Railroad
Do you
Commission.
really?
Yeah.
You know,
I
they-
think
you know when they
because we
always
gotten
told-
so used to railroad commission
Yeah.
guys, we just bullshit with them all the time. So it's
Well, they
like,
always told us that he was a bulldog with no teeth. They'll bark and bite.
Oh,
but
yeah, I'll
nothing.
bark, no bite.
You got 90 days. You know.
Yeah.
It's like, hey guys.
And even then, it's like just throw a little bit of dirt on it.
I'm like,
Just
hey, you
cover it
know,
up.
if you just mix it up and the parts per million and the sun and like plant a daisy. I mean,
Yeah, we're
you know,
good.
I
We're
tell the
probably
farmer, I mean, there's daisies growing in that
Yeah.
shit. I mean, it must be pretty good. I
Yeah,
mean,
it's like fertilizer.
it's fertilizer, you know. It's like
technically,
Yeah.
technically.
Yeah, in Bron,
Yeah.
it technically is
Every time
fertilizer.
something
Salt
happens, it's
water.
like, damn, it's just growing better than it did before. What the fuck?
I don't know what that. No, that whole field is weird. But yeah, no, that's just it. Really solidifies it to me that no one knows what they're doing.
Yeah.
So anyway, sorry.
so. Number 3 was passing kids that shouldn't have been passed. That shouldn't have passed. And then failing to provide students in the transitional bilingual class and equal access to educational resources and opportunities, materials, and participating in art classes. And so, you know, if you're a bilingual kid, you didn't get to go to STEM lab. You didn't get to go to art. And so it's like you have to wear like this scarlet letter, you know, like, oh, you're one of them.
Yeah.
We can't let you commingle with the other kids.
You're one of
'cause-
those no habla.
Yeah, you. Yeah.
No public kids. No Sabo kids.
No Sabo kids.
No Sabe kids. Yeah. Oh, man. So I'm surprised they didn't have them like little Bobcat jerseys
Yeah.
on the back. It was,
You know,
like,
it's crazy because now that you say that, you know, I never really. My kids have been around because all of them went to TLCA since they were preschool all the way on.
Right.
Right. And there's really a staunch difference when I'm sitting there talking to my daughter when she wasn't, because she's graduated now, when she was in junior high, talking to somebody that she met that goes to SAISD. And I'm like, oh, is she a couple grades younger than you? She's like, no, we're in the same grade. And I'm like, she reads like a 3-year-old.
Yeah.
I was like, this is bad. This is really bad. Like, there's really a big difference. Now, with that being said, TLC has fallen off because I'm seeing it with my other, because I got 4 kids, and you do see the difference, but it's nowhere near as bad. What's the one, Lone Star? I know a couple kids that go there, and they read just fine. I mean, they're on their P's and Q's, which I give that school props. Or maybe I don't know. Maybe the teachers are just a little bit more
hands-on.
There you go, hands-on with these.
Well, they
kids.
just had a big change there. So the lady that was the principal there, she actually had a PhD.
Okay.
And her whole thing was, once I get them to a certain level, I'm going to go teach at ASU. And so she left this year. And so the HR lady went to go take over Lone Star, and then that made room for the lady that messed up the bilingual program and then go into HR. So this is the first year with that lady there. So
wow.
the other lady set the foundation, so the hope is that she'll continue it. But
How can you?
But the lady that was there was like the highest educated principal we had. She had a PhD and said, okay, I got the kids where I want them.
I'm out.
I'm going to ASU, and, you know, it's a lot easier.
Yeah, I'm sure it is.
Yeah, they got better parking,
Wow,
you know.
I didn't know. Okay. Wow.
So it'll be interesting to see. It's kind of like watching, like is the game, watching something, because in a year from now it could get worse, it could get better, but a change happened. So it'd be interesting to see if people go into Lone Star.
They just changed the head coach. Let's see how it goes.
Essentially, yeah.
I'll be keeping an eye on it because that's really curious.
So now that then you can maybe say, hey, has anything changed?
Yeah. Okay.
And so that's a big
definitely
change.
Gonna ask.
So
definitely.
now the PhD lady went to ASU, and then the HR lady went back to teaching, and then that made room for the other lady to then investigate herself. So it's all
big circle.
Big circle. Okay, so the kids in EL don't have access to the same opportunities as the other kids. They just get kind of shoved off into the corner. That's the complaint. Failing to provide qualified or adequately trained teachers to implement the bilingual program. So essentially it's what it said. They didn't have enough teachers. They had like 2 or 3 bilingual teachers, and they said, oh, well, we can't ever get any. And if you saw how much money was going into that program, and I'm like, okay, let's say you're a regular teacher, but you're fluent in Spanish. They had enough money, they could have gave that teacher a $10,000 stipend. I said, I bet you put that stipend on there and you get some volunteers.
Oh, hell yeah.
You say, okay, you make 50. We need a really good bilingual teacher, and we know it's going to be hard and challenging, and maybe it's not at the school you want to, but we're going to throw 10 stacks on it. What do you think?
Somebody's going to jump.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Hell yeah.
But instead they said, okay, well, we can't get any. It's like we put it on monster.com and no one applied, so we tried.
Yeah.
So,
they're too busy trying to use that money to cover their ass or something else.
So, since nobody applied, we're just going to shove y'all all into the same school, which ties back into all the complaints.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I see the stipends that they give to other people. There's coaches that get stipends. Everybody,
Okay, yeah.
So I said, throw 10 stacks on it. And if no one shows up, then you can say you tried. Yeah. But I guarantee
someone's going to jump on
there's somebody out there that either naturally spoke Spanish or took it as a college degree that was like, hey, I'd like to, I'm making 50, but 60 sounds
nice.
Oh, yeah.
Hey, I'll do 60, as a stipend. But
all day.
But instead, they shoved them all into Bradford and said, well,
Yeah.
So that's the complaint there. Okay. And if you talk to the district, they're like, well, we tried. They're just not out there. I'm like, oh, they're out there.
They're out there. They just want to get paid.
You pay enough.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, people, know.
So what's the median? What's the average salary for these teachers?
Well, they just changed it. So and that's why a lot of the seasoned teachers are upset, because for the longest time it was like 40. And then they said they couldn't get enough teachers. And so with this Prop A, it moved to 50. So the lowest paid teacher is now 50. But that meant that then some teachers that have been there 5 or 6 years
already
got moved to 50. And then the lady that just showed up yesterday is making 50.
Oh, yeah.
And so it was kind of a rub for some of them. But the way the district sees it is like, if we already got you, it's easier to maintain you. They're having problems getting new people come in.
Okay.
So a lot of the stuff they do, they're always talking about getting new people, but they don't take care of the people that are already here.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so that's a lot of the, I have a lot of teachers that reach out, hey, please don't, don't tell my name, don't say nothing. I've had people start up fake accounts just so they could feed me information.
No kidding.
And they'll tell you, it sucks. I've been here 7 years. I was making 48. Then they made the minimum 50. So now I get 50. But, the guy that just showed up yesterday, he's making 50. I mean.
Yeah, that sucks.
I mean, you know what I mean?
That's a spit in the face.
Yeah, it's like,
7 years of my life for nothing?
Well, that's the same idea I got when they want to raise the minimum wage to 15.
Yeah.
Which is like, well, these guys have worked their ass off to get where they're at. And all of a sudden, you're just raised the bar. He's making $5.50 because he, whatever, right? Now you got these new cats coming in making 50 cents less. But still, it's like, well, I'll work my ass off to get here. Yeah. At least give me the bump up, or at least a proportional bump up.
Right.
So, yeah. But then again, all your prices and everything go up after that. So, that's crazy. Okay.
So they can't find people to teach, but they're also not willing to give stipends. Failing to provide and identify EL students who may qualify for gifted and talented programs. And so, as you know, Fort Concho has the gifted and talented.
Yes.
And so the person that wrote this said, if you look at a lot of the studies, they say holistically, a 5-year-old, they're all kind of the same. If you have 35-year-olds, most of them are going to bunch up here, and then you're always going to have this one, and then you're going to have this one. You know, some need a little help. These people don't need any. And there's always that one really smart one.
Yeah, you got your outliers.
And it doesn't, you have your outliers. And it shouldn't matter on economics, race, none of that. If I put it shouldn't be only a certain race, or if you're rich, you happen to be
smarter than the
smarter.
rest.
And so they said, well, it's weird that all these EL kids, none of them ever broke through to gifted and talented. So after all these years, you're telling me
that should tell you a lot, right?
There wasn't at least one smart one.
Yeah.
And they're like, oh, well, no, we gave them a test in English.
Yeah. Which was the stickler there, the language barrier.
Yeah.
But you're telling me that none of those kids that, you know, weren't smart enough?
Yeah.
And then that ties down, and so that was that one. And then it ties down into these. So that was one complaint with that many things underneath it. And then it comes into the next three big complaints. And so whether the district discriminated on the basis of races or national origin in the context of educational programs or activities without a legitimate, non-discriminatory reason, therefore interfering with limiting the ability of students to participate in benefits from services and activities and privileges. And it says, by failing to properly identify Hispanic students who may qualify for gifted and talented. So this complaint up here was strictly for kids that were in the ESL program, the English as second language. But then they're also saying, well, it's also weird that even the Hispanic kids that speak English, only speak English, none of them make it into gifted and talented. So if we're 70% Hispanic, then you would think,
that's a weird.
We would have 70% of the kids in gifted and talented would be Hispanic. Instead, it's like 5 or 10%.
Yeah.
So if you go over to gifted and talented, I made it in once, and then I got escorted. Me and my son went to an open house, and they saw me, and I said, "All right, son, go for the door. Don't look back. They're gonna trespass us." Yeah. But when I made it in there, dude, it was like Shangri-La. It was like, oh my God, everything was clean and everything was nice, and then we went into the room, and they had all these computers. There's this kid playing 3D chess, and he's doing this and all this awesome stuff. And then I'm like, why can't everybody else be in here? And they're like, oh, this only is for, you know, like,
you gotta be gifted and talented.
Yeah, but you also have to have a gifted dad that's got the fedia. You know what I mean? Like you gotta be. And so that's what this one's about. It's saying if all 5-year-olds are just naturally have a certain, you know, there's going to be on the bell curve, you know, the median's here, and you know your 97.5 percentile is going to be your really high ones, and then some kids over here that need extra help. Then how come none of the Hispanics make it?
Yeah,
you're telling me that Hispanics aren't? There's no gifted Hispanics. It should be at the same proportion.
Yeah.
Yes.
So if we're 50-50, then it should be pretty close. I mean, it might be 60-40, but it's not 90-10.
Yeah.
And so they're saying that's the complaint. And then here's the next one. Whether the district discriminated on this, and it says failure to identify and evaluate EL students who may need special education. So now it's like they're double discriminating. So if you're Spanish and you need the EL help, we're not letting you in gifted and talented, but we're also not letting you into special ed either.
What the hell?
So like, let's say you have two kids, they both speak only Spanish. They send them to Bradford, and this kid has autism, and he needs to go to Lamar where all the special education is, so that maybe they can have that breakthrough, and they got people that are trained specifically like how to get to this kid. And then you have this other one that's super smart, you know, he's all like, oh man, he's doing his thing, but it's in Spanish.
Yeah.
So they're telling him you can't go to gifted and talented, and you can't get any special ed help. So they're not only discriminating against the smart ones, they're discriminating against the ones that might have a learning disability.
Yeah.
So you're dyslexic. Well, if you were English speaker, we'll send you over here to get dyslexic help. But since you're a Spanish speaker, no, you just stay over there.
Wow.
So you can't get any gifted and talented, and you can't even get special ed help.
Yeah, that's sad.
So it's like double. I mean, and the gifted and talented, it sucks because maybe that kid had a chance to go better, but he's still going to make it. But when you got a kid that maybe has real bad dyslexia or autism or something, they need that extra help just to be mainstream, just so that they can assimilate into society.
Yeah.
And to deny them that just because
Yeah.
they only speak Spanish, that's even worse than the other one.
So
Yeah.
with what you're saying, this what always happens when somebody is not getting the help that they need, right? And there's the funds to do it. Who's benefiting from this? Because there's always a benefit. Somebody's always benefiting from this.
Well, sometimes it's a benefit and sometimes it's a cost avoidance. So
Okay.
if it's really expensive to, like, let's say this kid maybe has cerebral palsy or he has something that takes a lot of energy. You know what I mean? Like, you know, you only get $6,500 per kid per year from the state. And they're like, we're going to have to put 2 aides just with this kid because he needs so much help.
Yeah. And they have to be specialized. So that's a different cost
And
too.
so that's a higher cost. So rather than, if we could just keep them over there in that ESL program, then it's a cost avoidance. So we're saving money.
Okay, because I'm thinking,
it's not necessarily that they're getting the grift, you know, like, hey, you know,
they're avoiding having to pay though.
They're avoiding having to take the money out of a budget that maybe helps their project or helps their pay raise.
You know, like you were saying, all the gifted, they got the computers, they got the 3D chess, they got all the good shit.
Oh, they do.
You know, so it's like, okay, so is that where the funds are going? Is that to, hey, make sure
I kept looking for Walter White. I'm like,
it's like you got a lab at chemistry lab going on.
Man, they got all the good. They got the blue eyes back there, son. Them kids is making all that stuff. They got the good.
Shit. That's what I'm thinking, because I'm like, that's where the money's going. The money's going, so make sure that the ones that have the fatty don't have to really hey, cater to my kid.
Exactly.
Yeah, cater to my kid. Cater to my needs. Fuck the brownies.
Exactly.
Let them figure out that, you know.
And so, like I said,
we need somebody to work the fields.
It's
anyways.
bad enough they won't let us into the good program, but then to not let them into special ed. Special ed should be a no-brainer.
Yes.
If you need help, you should be able to roll up and be like, my kid has this, and they're like, come on in. Instead of, well, if he spoke English, we might mess with him, but since he doesn't, we don't even know how to help him, so go to Bradford.
Yeah.
And so and like I said, these are all accusations. So they're being investigated for it.
So who's going to oversee this? Does this get overseen here in Tomlin County? Does it go to the state? Does it go to federal? So it goes federal
So
level.
any school that accepts federal funds then are overseen by these laws.
Okay.
So now if you have your own private school and you do your own thing, the OCR can't really do much to you so really, you know, they always say talk softly and carry a big stick.
Yeah.
Their big stick is if you're not down with what we're trying to do, we can hold your funding back. And so, but typically when these go all the way through, they typically have a re-education, and sometimes I've seen some where they got answered where they had to pay kids a cash stipend.
Okay.
They said every kid that, you know, because you can go through and see the answers. Like everybody in Texas that's been sued by the OCR, you can go see. And I went through, and some of them are like, oh, well, we re-educated the administrators, and they're not going to do it again, but we'll check up in 3 years. But I saw one where it was like, hey, these 20 kids got done wrong. They each get a settlement of $6,000 or something. I mean, so there's a vary in what they can do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But as a community, we should be like, how is this happening like in our backyard?
Exactly. Yeah.
This is true.
You know what I mean? And so they don't want to let them into GT. They don't want to give them special ed. And then if you do get in, they try to graduate you early so that they don't have to keep teaching you because it's a cost avoidance. It's like you said. It's like they're not getting paid, but they're also not having to spend the extra money.
Yes.
Because these kids cost more to teach.
Right.
But once they get to a certain level, then they can mainstream them. Once, you know, but they're doing it too quick. They're like, man, the quicker we can get them out of this program, the less money we have to spend on them, and then we can use that money for others.
And see, and that's the problem. Is they're so worried about the damn money when they should be more worried about the kids.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, obviously you do have to pay somebody to do these jobs. I understand that, but the whole goal is for the kids. It's for the kids.
So I wonder with that, what's the dropout rate? Do you know?
Let me go through the last one, and then I'll get into some of that stuff. So then the last one is whether the district discriminated on the basis of disability in context of an educational program or activity, i.e., gifted and talented, without a legitimate reason. So now they're saying if you do have a disability, physical or mental, that you automatically can't get into gifted and talented, because then, like, if you got a kid in a wheelchair, they're like, oh well, GT program's not ADA, so we'd have to move all the desks further apart.
Yeah.
And make it where you could fit under the computer desk and make sure that you can do the 3D printer. And that's a lot. And, little Timmy, his dad's going, you got the money. And so they're not letting the Spanish speakers in. And now it don't matter who you are, if you have a disability, they're not letting you in. Like we only
was in a wheelchair.
Yeah, they wouldn't have let him in. They would have said, too bad, dude,
Yeah. Well, sorry about you.
Sorry, man.
Go think about your theory of everything somewhere else.
Yeah, man. Can you do that outside?
Chest in the closet.
Yeah.
Oh, man, that's insane.
So, and like I said, this isn't, a lot of people see this and they think it's all about race and this and that. But that last one is just like anybody could have a disability.
Yes.
It don't matter what color you are. It don't matter how much money you have. When you're born, you're born. You know, everybody came with God made us all with a different recipe. Your mom, your dad, this is what came out. And then to say, we really don't want to have you in gifted and talented because you're just too much to handle. So we're just not even going to make it available to you.
Oh, wow.
So you could be a smart kid with a disability, but you ain't getting in.
Yeah,
Sorry.
we just don't want the hassle.
Yeah, we don't want the hassle. Yeah, but you can go be disabled over there. Yeah.
And I've always had that issue there, because kids learn different. They're either visual learners, physical learners, or they got to see some visual. I guess some visual. But I'm like, I don't understand. I never understood why there wasn't a way. It was like, hey, I won't say. I guess cater to some kids because I don't. You put me in a room with someone talking and someone explains something to me, I'm right to sleep. Right. I'll fall right to sleep. I just can't do it. I can't listen to somebody talk.
But you have a podcast.
But I have a podcast. But see, it's different because we're interacting. We're interacting. But put me in a conference, somebody talking,
lecturing you is different. Yeah.
I'm out. Now have them up there showing me, hey, this is how we break an engine down. This is how whatever. I'll pump whatever. Shit, I'm focused, laser focused. I'm like, okay, I'm picking it all up. But talk to me, I'm out.
Yeah, you better hands on. Question: when you saw the commercial for Landman, and they had that 36-inch pipe wrench, and then they're hitting it with a sledgehammer and it blows up. Were you thinking?
Yes, it's the first thing I was like. First of all, it's backwards, and what the fuck? Why are you hitting with a hammer?
Yeah.
I was just wondering. Was that just me? Because I'm like,
no.
You said that you were down, with the oil field. And you knew it was up. I'm like,
I was so frustrated.
I was like, what do you hit your 36 with?
Yeah, my final straw is when they done with the pulling unit and they turn the well on and the rods and tubing are still on the
it's still in the derrick.
And I'm like, what's in the hole? So how are you going to take all that shit down? The damn pumping unit's running. Yeah, that's the most. That's when I was done. I was done with the show.
Have you ever been there when they blew a line on that cylinder and that derrick's coming down?
No.
Oh my God! So I used to work with these people that would buy rigs and we'd redo them.
On the hydraulic cylinder.
Yeah, and so we had this swabbing rig and we throw the thing up, and it looks good. The hoses look good, and then we start bringing it down, and it gets to like here, and that hose shoots off.
Ooh, yeah.
And here.
Which is crazy.
We were running, diving under stuff, and that thing came out.
Boom.
I've
so
never
when you
seen
said
them fall
about
like
the
that.
stuff being still in the monkey board, I'm like, can you imagine with all that weight?
Yeah, no.
If some worm went in there and said, "Oh, let's bring the derrick down," and it's still
I didn't
got all
know
that.
It felt like that because I thought there was veins because I've had one.
There's supposed to be check valves.
There you go, and they just like.
Yeah.
There's no stopping it, but it's coming down.
But
it's not
if the check breaks.
That's true.
It's a one way. So like if you have a bunch of dirt in your hydraulics and the check goes to catch, but a little thing gets stuck in there.
Blocks it open.
Yeah.
That fluid's going through.
Shit. Okay.
And so here comes the derrick.
Yeah, because it blew me away because they were coming. Of course, they had scope down and they were laying that rig down and that hose popped and you fucking fluid was shooting everywhere. But it was like it was just falling quick.
That's because it was busting on that check. But if the check was bad or someone forgot to replace it.
Yeah.
But when you said that, I was like, can you imagine lowering that derrick with all that stuff in the monkey board?
I was so frustrated with that show. I've started playing. I was like, fuck this show. Fuck, I can't. Nobody. And then, of course, you see like the comments and shit on Landman. Oh, the greatest show I've ever seen. And blah, blah, blah.
I hear a lot of people.
I was like, get out of here. Oh God, anybody who's on a rig.
Great.
Yeah, but you think about it. Like we know about the oil field.
Yeah.
There's a whole bunch of people that don't. That's their introduction to the oil field. Some people watch it just for Billy Bob Thornton. You know what I mean?
I know, but they could have hitting a 36 with a hammer. I
honestly,
mean, that was
honestly
like, how did someone? They
Taylor
didn't have
Taylor Sheridan could have did a better job of finding somebody who actually knows how this shit goes. So it seems more realistic.
I thought Yellowstone was good, you know, and I'm like, I wonder what Cowboys thought of that.
They probably hated it.
They were like, "Fuck this show. This is the dumbest shit ever."
Yeah, we don't even wear Filson.
All right, so back to this. So those are, you get a gist of the complaints. Mm-hmm. And then in here it says, here's all the data we need, and it's a lot of data. And so they've had this since last year. They got the notice May 3rd, 2024.
Yeah.
And
can you summarize through that?
I mean, I summarize. Okay. Well, the data is like, hey, we want to see how many kids are in GT, and then what's the breakup, and what schools they come from, all that stuff. You're asking, how can you see if this is really happening? Yeah. How many kids are in EL after the 3rd grade? It's amazing they all pass in the 3rd grade. You know what I mean? It's like they're asking for all that data, and then at the end of the thing, it says, oh, by the way, since this is going to be public, people might ask for that data as well, so you need to be aware that there might be FOIA requests for it. So I put in a FOIA request for it, and they're like, oh, we don't have that, or we need to send it to our lawyer or something. I'm like, you've known for a year that people were going to ask for it, and then when someone does, they're like, oh, we don't have that. And I'm like, well, you send it to them. Oh, I think we lost it or something. We forgot to save it.
How convenient.
Yeah. So they're still being investigated. I'm trying to get the data because, I mean, it should be really easy to see, especially like, is there any kids with a disability and gifted and talented? If the answer is no, then probably is true. And then, okay, well, what's the breakdown on Hispanics versus other things? We're 70%. Okay, well, there's only 10% in gifted and talented. Okay, that doesn't seem weird to y'all?
Yeah, the math ain't mathing.
Yeah, like, I mean, you know, I know we got our problems, but, you know, there's plenty of smart ones. Yeah. You know? So where did they go? And then, you know, and then the EL stuff, it's harder because I'm not in that circle. I don't know kids that have gone through that system. You know, but the data should be there. And so all that conversation we just had and all that, like, you know, you're like, I feel it, like something, I knew something was wrong, and then you're like, you know, why are they treating us like that? And, you know, maybe you have a cousin or someone, you know, that's being impacted. I mean, everybody has someone in the district, you know. Might not be your kid, but you know somebody, and you know so.
Sure, yeah.
And it's like, if they're willing to do that to these kids, what are they willing to do to your kid?
Right.
And this is one thing, and I have a whole stack of other things. Yeah. And so it's like the more you dig, it's just like, every day I'm amazed.
Yeah. And what's sad, man, because I do hear this a lot. You know, you got the kids that aren't passing, and most of them, of course, the ones I know are Hispanic because I'm Hispanic. Yeah. And they're just like, you know, are you not paying attention in school? Are you not whatever? You know, just they're chastising these kids, and it's just like they're not getting the help that they need.
Yeah.
You know, you're mad at your son, you're mad at your daughter for not getting good grades, for not, you know, progressing where he needs to be progressing. It's because they don't know. The parents don't know. They don't know either. Right. They think, I'm sending you to school, they should be teaching you something.
Yeah, they're there to help you. And then you see this, and it's like they're getting the money to help you.
Mm-hmm. They're just not spending it.
They just don't want to spend it on you. They just want to shove you into one school, and if you bring down the scores over there, oh well, you know, we can take a hit. Yeah. You know.
So with that, you know, moving, I guess, consolidating all these kids, is that why they're just like San Jacinto? San Jacinto's closed because, of course, the earthquake took that down, right? You know, and these others, because I think last I saw they had planned to shut down 5 elementaries.
So the original sustainability plan that they started in 2022 is they wanted to shut down Austin, and it was an F school. It was on a thing called the PEG list. So the TEA puts out a list every year. It's called the PEG list. And if your school's on that list, you're allowed to transfer, no questions asked. Like, it's so bad that if you have the ability to leave, you need to.
Yeah.
And they give them extra money. And so at that time, Austin was on it. So they were like, well, we definitely need to close that one because there's no saving it. It's on the PEG list.
Yeah.
So they said, we're going to send all those kids to McGill. And then Alta Loma, they said, well, the plumbing's bad. So, you know, let's shut that one down because we can't fix the plumbing.
But see, that's mind-blowing, too, because I'm like, Austin's on the PEG list, But the fucking building is not teaching the kids. It's the people inside the goddamn building that are teaching the kids.
But don't ever say that or they'll all attack you. Because I said something about Austin being a failing school because it's on the PEG list. And I mean, boy, here come the Hornets, boy. And I was like,
It's not like it's not the school.
They get all mad at you. Like, how dare, I think someone said, the Bulldogs are strong. How dare you talk about the Austin Bulldogs like that? And I'm like, but it says right here, it's under 60%. It's not even it's like a hard F.
Yeah.
It's not a 69. It's not a 68. It's under 60% to be.
I think the smartest thing would be like, okay, if you're under 60%, and obviously it's the education that's going on in the school, it's not. Let's move the kids away to other schools. Okay,
let's fix the management.
Let's fix the management.
Yeah,
let's take some teachers from other schools and swap these people out.
Exactly.
Because if it were me, get these teachers, move them out. Let's average them out.
And it might not be the teachers, because sometimes you got good teachers, but you got a bad principal.
Okay.
Yeah.
Like the teachers, a lot of them would reach out to me and say, I want to do more. They won't let me.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Like they'll say, well, I would stay after and help this, but they're like, no, we don't do that here. Like, they don't want you bringing up any ideas because it might cost money.
Wow.
And so a lot of times it's management. It's not the teachers, it's the management.
Right.
You're going to have some bad teachers, but one bad teacher is not going to screw up a whole school.
Yeah.
So, like, let's say you got 3 first grade teachers and one of them's bad, and then all the second grade teachers are pretty cool, third grade teachers are pretty cool. She can only do so much damage.
Yes.
Because then when they leave her, they're going to go out. They always break them up. So then let's say she had 30 kids. Well, 10's going to go here, 10's going to go here, 10. They're not going to then ruin every second grade class.
Yes.
So a lot of times it's it's the management.
Yeah.
And so these teachers are like, hey, we notice these kids are struggling. We need to like have an intervention. And they're like, hey, stay in your lane.
That's
and they tell me all the time that they want to do more,
but they're not allowed.
They won't let them.
Damn.
And
that's crazy.
So when you have an F school, you need to look at the management.
So
because there's no way that all 20 teachers there are bad and taking them.
Yeah.
But see, even then, when they're closing all these schools down, right? They're going to move them to other schools. Now you got X amount of students per teacher.
Well, by law, so the cost savings doesn't necessarily come with the teachers. It does a little bit. It's the staff. You get to get rid of the custodian. You get to get rid of the landscaper. You get to get rid of the vice principal, the counselor.
So you're back in the same boat as no maintenance is getting done because you let everybody go.
So you get rid of the lunch lady. You get rid of all those people.
That is so mind-blowing.
And so when they say that, by closing the school down, they save $1 million, it's the electric bill, the maintenance, and then so when I was out in the field, it was like there was 2 budgets. There was value added and non-value added.
Yes.
So value added was like anything that made more oil come out of the ground, like the pump, the treatment, the whatever.
Yes.
We got iron, we got paraffin. The safety man was non-value added because nothing he did made more oil come out of the ground.
Yeah. It just made it harder on everybody else.
Right. And so essentially they're like, we can get rid of all these non-value added people. They're not actually the teachers, but we can get rid of all this staff. So all the savings is not from teachers, it's from getting rid of all the staff. Wow. But like some of those people been there 30 years and was like the secretary, like I don't call the principal and ask him what class my kid's in. I call the secretary. They know where everybody's
at.
Yeah.
Well, sorry, you're gone. So the cost savings are just those ancillary positions.
Okay, so back to that. Austin shut down because of it's in this PEG program.
Well, it was, but when they looked at it, they said it needed $5 million worth of repairs, and it's on the PEG, so it had 2 X's.
Okay.
So they got rid of Austin.
Okay, what other school?
Then Alta Loma was the other one, and they said that it was because of the plumbing, and then also declining enrollment in that area. And so they said, well, it'll be really easy to put them into Fannin.
Okay.
And
down the
then
street.
They wanted to get rid of San Jacinto and Reagan. And the problem is when they did that, they're going to send the San Jacinto kids to Holloman and the Reagan kids to Bradford. And guess which 2 schools right now are on the PEG list?
I'm guessing Holloman and Bradford.
Exactly. So you're going to so Reagan actually had a pretty good score. It was it was a pretty good score. I mean, it was better than some of the money schools.
Okay.
And so they said, okay, well, you had this nice little, you know, you're kind of like off the beaten path, and the kids there, everybody knew everybody, they're doing okay. Now we're going to send you to Bradford that's below 60.
Damn.
And you're going to thank us for it.
It's going to ruin those kids.
Fuck.
And then the third one, or the last one, is they want to send Bowie to Crockett. And so Bowie was built in 1961, and they said, well, it's a dead school because we can't expand because of the Red Arroyo. But I think what they want to do with it is it's still good enough of a school, and it's in a decent neighborhood, that then they can use that as like a little mini admin. So they'll bring the special ed kids over there, the ESL kids, all those, like, you know, they're still at Sam Houston, they're still at Day. They can use that one as then to consolidate all those.
Okay.
And so it's got nothing to do with Bowie. It's just, it's nice enough that they can still use it.
They want the building for something else.
They want the building for something else. So let's just shove those kids. You remember it used to be Travis was between Bowie and Crockett. They already closed down Travis, and now it's overgrown. And, you know, you drive by.
Which one's Travis?
The one by Holy Angels.
Right off of A&M?
Yeah.
Okay.
And so now they're going to close down Bowie, so that's going to leave a big old zone there with no school, and they're going to shove them all into Crockett.
Yeah.
I wonder if they got that idea from moving all the ninth graders over to the central campus. Or the freshman campus out Old Edison.
Right.
Again, that's not even around anymore because that got sold to Shannon.
Shannon, yeah.
No, actually, so the mayor, her and Kingman got into a little tiff.
Okay.
And so that building was built in like 1921, and it was made by a certain certain guy.
It's
and
historical.
That used to be like the college. That was the original college back in the day. And so they said, we want to make it historical so you can never change the facade. And then Dr. Kingman, who just happens to work for Shannon, was fighting it tooth and nail. And the mayor pretty much, she shanked him, dude. She got it passed through at the last minute, and so they can't ever touch Edison now.
Oh, wow.
And so that's why nobody wants to buy it, because you can't tear it down. It's illegal. You can tear down the annex, the part next to it, but you can't ever touch that building now, the facade. You can do whatever you want inside.
I give her props for that.
So, and that's why I was laughing when they got their bond in before they did. I was like, dang, she got him again. Dude, that lady got him again, dude. I mean, he's just like, we're doing a bond. She's like, hold my beer.
So
she's like, we're doing a bond and we're voting it in before you do your bond. What do you think about that?
So then the Shannon deal didn't go through. Then they didn't buy it.
No, well, it was never officially for sale, but that was
okay.
They can't turn it into a parking lot.
Yeah,
and they're not going to spend the money to put offices in it. Because it's full of asbestos and all that, you know what I mean? It's from 1920, you know?
I know. I used to go to school there.
I did too. That was the part, because I remember I had an art class over there. It was on the second floor, so when you're walking over there, it's like, and it was either hot or cold, whatever the opposite of what it.
Yes.
So you'd go over there, you'd be sweating, dying, and then you go over to the nice building, you're like, thank God. Like when you do your schedule, you try not to have any classes over there in the afternoon because it was so hot. You were like,
you're right. The art class was on top, and then I had English, and then the orchestra was at the very front of the annex building.
Yeah,
and boy, the fucking AC sucked.
Oh, dude,
boy, you would be boiling.
It would be so hot. Yeah, I was like, I need to take art in the morning because in the afternoon I can't really draw. It was like, it was so hot.
You know what the floors reminded me of? You ever been to that green music hall?
Oh yeah.
Just like
that.
Just like that.
And when I got to that school,
it was bad, bro.
The first thing they told me is don't go to the bathroom over there. If you got to go.
Yes.
And so the whole time I was at Edison, I never went. I don't even know what they look like. But they said they were so bad. They're like, hey, bro, if you got to go, walk over to the new spot or go out to the field house because you don't want to go.
It was funny because you would walk that catwalk between the two buildings. When you would walk into the catwalk, you would get this gust of fresh air.
Yeah,
cold air.
When you're going to the nice side. Now, if you're going the other way,
it's funny that you compared it to that green music hall. That's the oldest music hall in Texas.
Is it? It's like that.
Well, that's the oldest. That's the
oldest school.
No, actually, San Jacinto was the oldest, but
yeah.
So y'all want to know what the deal is on San Jacinto?
Hell yeah.
It was an earthquake.
It was a very big earthquake.
Yeah, it sure was. So did you get the joke about blame it on the earthquake?
Yes, I did.
So you got my Milli Vanilli joke then?
Blame it
on
on
it was blame it on the rain.
Oh,
and Milli Vanilli was fake.
Yeah.
And so I was like, blame it on the earthquake.
Oh no! That went right over my head. I was
And
thinking
so they
something
won
else.
a Grammy, and they had to take it back from them because they
Yeah.
weren't the singers.
Yeah.
So that's why I was like,
Oh shit! No, right over my head.
and I used to laugh because on
That's
In
funny.
Living Color or something, they were like, "You too could be Milli Vanilli with your Milli Vanilli kit, you know." And you put this on, and I could
Yeah.
just see the school board over there, you know, blame it on the earthquake. So you didn't get my joke.
No, I didn't.
Oh,
I was-
man, you even gave me a smiley face and everything.
I
you know?
did because when I looked at it, I'm like, oh, that's funny, but I didn't get the minute of Liddy.
You got to go back and watch the Milli Vanilli from In Living Color.
Okay, I'll do that.
And then they got their Grammy taken away, and I'm gonna be like, well, we're taking y'all's away too because it wasn't the earthquake.
Yeah.
I can't even comment. I feel dumb now.
Hey.
Abraham got it. He
So-
was like, oh yeah, I remember.
So what do you got on the earthquake?
So they learned September 20th that it wasn't the earthquake. It was failure to maintain.
So that was, I'm gonna stop you real quick because I kind of remember everybody was, or I think you specifically was trying to get the information, like the report,
Right.
And they didn't want to release the
They
report.
didn't want to release it, and so here's letters from the Attorney General telling them release it, and they wouldn't do it. So
So how do they not get in trouble for not following the orders of the Attorney General?
well, the thing is so when you put in a FOIA request, they get to wait 10 days, and then they said, well, it's going to cost you $300. So I went and paid the $300, and then they send it to their lawyers. So then their lawyers send it to the Attorney General, and the Attorney General has 45 days to look at it.
Okay.
And then tell them you need to release this. And then once the Attorney General tells them they need to release it, they have 30 days to release it. So I don't know what this one was dated. Yeah, this one's dated November 22nd. So I should have got that information December 22nd.
Yes.
And so you'll see here where it says, yeah, you can hold some stuff back. When you get to the summary, it says you have to let the rest of it go. You know, you can redact some stuff, but like the summary has nothing to do. It doesn't have anybody's name in it. It just says, we're not paying you. You have to release that.
Yeah.
And so they drug their feet. So I started sending off emails to the Attorney General, and they opened up 3 cases against the school district, which are still being investigated. Oh, wow. And I opened up a grievance against the school district, and they answered it today and said it was a misunderstanding. And so, because in that grievance, I said, it's one of 3 people. It's either the communication director, who's only been here 6 months and makes $100,000 a year and has never been in charge of FOIA. It's the superintendent dragging his feet, or it's your lawyer. And I said, it's one of those 3. That's the only choices. So I said either fire, or fire, one of them. And then they come back with, it was a mistake. There was a CD and it was corrupted. And so we didn't realize you still wanted the information. But then after we saw, the complaint from the Attorney General, then we realized you were serious. And so in the future, we're going to try harder. We're going to do a better job. But there's no one to hold accountable because we didn't actually do anything wrong on purpose.
God, I'm going to use that excuse.
And I'm like, well, does that work when you don't pay your taxes?
Hell no, it doesn't.
No.
Does that work when your kid gets in trouble? I'm like, how many kids have gotten in trouble at school and you can't say, well, I didn't know any better. Here's the rest of those 5 more letters, same thing, but you get a gist. 5 letters from Ken Paxton couldn't compel him to do it.
Damn, that's crazy. It's crazy that they didn't get
Well,
in
they're
trouble
still being
for it.
investigated, so they say typically they come and re-educate them, and then so they kind of get away with it one time, and then if it happens again, then more. Yeah. So they were doing that. In my opinion, they were doing it because they didn't want this information to come out before Prop A, because that was in November. And so if they would have came out November or September 20th and said, hey, we didn't take care of the school and it fell down, but hey, give us $6 million extra a year. I don't know. It was a 60-40 split. I don't know if it would have impacted the election or not.
Yeah.
But they didn't give us that. They didn't give us that choice.
Yeah.
And so I started looking into this. So, and I think it was 2022, early 2023. I put out it's still on YouTube. An engineer goes up there and says, hey, San Jacinto has a little bit of where the drain is for the gutters needs to be, it's staying on the foundation. It needs to be pushed away. There's a couple of leaks, blah, blah, blah. It's an old building. But what you need to fix now is the foundation, because there's some 2x4s that are holding up the foundation. And y'all probably need to do that now. And so I finally found the picture, and what it is that building is pier and beam. So these beams are like, you know,
100 years old.
100-year-old, and it's wood you can't even get anymore. I mean, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like dimensional lumber. And then there's a foundation, and then they had pieces of wood between the two, and some of them had cracked. And so rather than replacing it, they just put a 2x4 across the crack, a fish plate. It's like welding a gusset.
Yeah.
They just put a gusset on it, a 2x4 gusset. And that engineer said, hey, y'all need to handle that like now. And he told them that in the meeting. And then I find an email. As part of this last thing that I got. And it says, it goes to the president of the board and all the other board members. And it says, hey, I don't care which school y'all get rid of, Reagan or San Jacinto, but actually San Jacinto's in the best shape. We spent $6 million on it during the 2008 bond, and then we spent a bunch of money on it for ADA, American with Disability Acts. Mm-hmm. It just has a couple of things that need to be upgraded, and you'll be able to use that for pre-K and other stuff. And to fix that school is only $850,000, and it'll be just as good, you know?
Yeah.
It'll last X amount, 10 or 20 more years. So they get told that in 2003, and I pulled I said, give me all the work orders for Reagan and San Jacinto. And they spent $15,000 on San Jacinto to fix some air conditioners. They never did anything to the foundation. So when it crashed, they knew about it for the last 2 years and never fixed it. And so when you watch the board meeting, they're like, we should have closed the school years ago. It was dead. It wasn't worth fixing. No, you could have saved that school for hardly anything compared to what you spend.
Yeah.
You just forgot to do it.
Or
Even though the engine...
Or they wanted to use that money for something else.
Well,
instead of on that school.
I don't know. I don't know if it was...
pay raises. Yeah. Didn't they
just
get
pay
raises?
Does that come back to the notion you said earlier about embassment?
I didn't say it.
I said it.
Oh, you said it.
You trying to get me sued, fool. Not this guy.
No, I was...
It was allegations.
That was it. Allegedly.
Allegedly. Yeah, because we were talking about like, well, how does nobody get brought up on charges or get in trouble or go to jail for this? Is there an embezzlement thing? Is there something like? What the hell
think
is
it
going
comes down to there's no one to investigate them.
That's the problem.
It's like
that's bad.
It's like, so I'm gonna release this out, but I'm gonna read it to you real quick. And so this went to the president of the board. It went to all the administrators, like everybody there knows. So when they were looking you in the eye, they all knew, and they were just sticking to the script. And he says, okay, thanks for bringing this to my attention. He said, and this is from the engineer. He says, it's a matter of scale and severity of the immediate need. Although Reagan has certain immediate needs over San Jacinto, they are not big cost items that would make a significant difference when deciding between the two buildings. San Jacinto and Reagan both received $6 million each upgrades in 2008. We have added the attached slide, which they didn't give me, to our presentation that highlights this fact. Their immediate needs are much less costly and severe than the other campuses. They were comparing it to Alta Loma and Austin. So they were saying Austin needed $5 million, Alta Loma needed $3 million. They're like, hey, these two can be fixed relatively cheap. Yeah. So the immediate cost is $893,000 for San Jacinto, $1.5 million for Reagan. We have already corrected much of the structural issues, and I believe Tony has many of the others covered in his maintenance plan. For comparison, other campuses, including Bel Air, need, and I got to switch to the next slide. Sorry, I can see.
He's switching, guys.
Okay. Double or triple the cost of San Jacinto and Reagan. Alta Loma has $2.3 million in immediate needs. That's just to get it legal. Austin has $3 million in immediate needs. I would also note that both facilities would be next on the campus replacement list. The reason Reagan was a better candidate now is because you could build an entire new elementary school on that campus in the future based on the size of the lot and avoid moving students after you build it. It also has additional drop-off drives and on-site parking for safer access. So they're saying you can either fix it for relatively little, $1 million, or you can build a new one for 45, but it's actually a good location because it's not on a major road. It's got plenty of land and safe drop-offs. So that's a good place for a school.
Yeah.
And then he goes on to say, now San Jacinto received ADA upgrades that makes it a better candidate for pre-K and special needs over Reagan. So they're saying if you do pre-K, little guys, they're running around.
Yeah.
And then special needs, they already did all the upgrades. They got the big bathrooms, they got the ramps, all that. So it's already there. So hope this makes sense. Feel free to reach out. So he's saying, the architect in 2003 saying, they're both good campuses. They just need a little love. And one would be great for pre-K and special ed. And one would be really good to either fix or build a new one because of its location. And it's not on Schroeder Way. Like all the or all the McGill parents send me. They're like, dude, we're in line for like 2 hours on Schroeder Way, and now they want to send more kids here. And so rather than taking any action, they didn't do anything. They didn't fix the 2x4. Then it collapsed, and then they tried to say that it was an earthquake.
Oh God.
And so it's like, did they just not think we were ever going to find this email? Because when you watch the last video, they're passionate about how big of that place was horrible. It was old. Who would want to save it? It's, let it go. You just have to let it go. And then the superintendent said it's like when your 98-year-old grandma breaks her hip. I mean, is she even worth fixing? Sometimes you just got to let them go. And I'm like,
wow.
Yeah.
And
I saw that.
And I put I put that soundbite out. And I'm like, and then I read this email, and I'm like, that engineer wasn't singing doom and gloom. He's like, hey, throw a little lipstick on the pig, and you're good to go for another 10 or 20. Yeah. It says most of the issues have already been fixed. You just have to tweak a little bit. Yeah. So if you would have just, instead of putting 2x4s, went in there and put a metal beam with a screw jack, we could come once a year and level it, and that school would still be there. Yeah. And for whatever reason, they didn't do it and then lied to us.
So where's the money? That's weird, right? There's the work that needed to be done, didn't get done. So where's the money?
So the money that they used, so they asked for a bond in 2018. And they said, well, if you're not going to give us our money, then we're going to find the money and we're going to do what we want to anyway. So what they did is they didn't fix any schools for the last 10 years, and they were able to stack back $20,000 in deferred maintenance. And so they said, hey, it's savings, and we can use our savings for whatever we wanted to. So they spent $16 million on Fannin, $16 million on McGill, $4 million on Fannin, and they said, oh, well, it's a cost savings. And I'm like, no, it was deferred maintenance. Yeah. You took a little bit of money out of every one of those schools, not fixing them, and then did what you wanted to do anyway. Yeah. Because we didn't give you your bond money.
How much was added to Fannin with the $16 million?
They added enough for 200 kids.
Okay.
Fannин's the worst one. McGill is a lot of money. They overpaid. But Fannin's the worst because they added 8 classrooms and 2 bathrooms for $4 million. So it comes out to like $435 a square foot. And they already own the land. Okay. Where in town is anybody, like the new Chick-fil-A? They threw it up in 3 months. I ate a sandwich there, and they're still working on Fannin. Yeah. But they didn't pay no $400 a square foot for that Chick-fil-A.
See, and that's what I'm wondering too, though. Is like, where are they getting these contractors?
Well, the problem is Park Hill. Park Hill says that's what it cost, and then they find people that make it cost that.
Okay.
Because when I asked them, I said, we're in San Angelo. We're not in Frisco. We're not in Austin. We're in San Angelo. Nothing costs $465 a square foot. Oh, yeah, it does. That's totally normal. I'm like, No, because I know people that build stuff. I work for a builder.
Yes, exactly.
So I know. So essentially, each classroom costs the same as a house in Bentwood. They built 8 classrooms for $4 million. I'm like,
Yes.
we could have literally built a house in Bentwood and said, okay, well, first grade's on the 9th green, second green's by the sand trap.
And that's where I'm getting at, because I'm like, look, with the amount of money that they spend, you can buy. I mean, I can build me a stupid building for $4 million.
Yeah.
I can build me something crazy big.
Well, they
that
added
accommodate everybody.
They added a boys and girls bathroom and 8 classrooms. Now McGill, they had to add a new cafeteria. You know, kitchens and bathrooms are always the most expensive.
Yes.
They had to do that. Now but they overbuilt McGill. I mean, when you see the stuff they use, but they want it to be the golden coffin. Yes. They want it to look beautiful. We don't care if you die inside or you don't learn nothing, but we want, nice. But because they're putting their name on it. Mm-hmm. You know, Dr. Kingman wants his name on that plaque. Yeah. I built that. I don't care if you can read the plaque, but I want the plaque.
Some of the most mind-blowing shit, because they build these like $1 million facilities, right? Let's say these kitchens that they spend an obscene amount of money, but yet they're feeding my kid frozen pizza.
Right.
You know, or a fucking soy burger that they just stuck in a goddamn microwave.
Yeah.
You know, just garbage. They're feeding them garbage.
But they had to have all that. Because I was driving past Wall, and I noticed that one of their new buildings, it was a metal building, metal roof, and then they did Austin stone up about 3 foot. I'm like, hailstorm, no problem. You know, the building will probably last 50 years. Yeah. That didn't cost $400 a square foot to build.
Oh, no.
But in San Angelo, Texas, yeah. But it's that Park Hill. They're the ones. So Park Hill's the architect. So they get 10% of the deal. So if we get that $400 million bond, they're getting $40 million of it just to be the architect.
It's mind-blowing.
And then, so they're out of Lubbock. They're all ex-DOD. And then when they said, oh, man, we can't get these bonds passed, he goes, oh, well, I know this lady. She works at Advantage, and she can help you get the bond passed. So he calls his friend, and then they come. And so that's who's doing all the marketing. And then he said, oh, well, I also know these consultants out of somewhere around Austin. We'll bring them in.
Yeah.
And then, I happen to know all the construction people. We'll bring them in. And so they're like, hey, we're one-stop shop. You don't have to worry about anything, but we're going to charge premium price.
Yeah. I'd hate to be the conspiracy theorist in this, because I know it's fucking weird, right?
Do it.
Because I'm like, these people are from the DOD.
Well, that's their background.
That's their background.
They retired from the DOD and
but
then
they know where to get the fucking money. They know how to get the funds, because it almost seems like we always talk about these little black budget fucking funds that come from somewhere.
Right.
You know, and it's like, hey, that's where we can funnel it. We can charge 10% and architect these fucking buildings for schools that we can charge an obscene amount of money. Hey, this costs $400 million to build. You know, we're going to take a kickback off of that. We do, I don't know, 50 of them a year.
Right.
That's a good chunk of change.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
All I'm saying is, if I was on the school board, I would find out who built that Chick-fil-A on North Bryant, because that thing went up in like 3 months.
Oh, yeah.
I'll tell you who they were. Those are those kids that didn't get into ESL. That's who built fucking the Chick-fil-A.
I'm like, I want those people to come build the school, because I'm like, this is what I'm saying. Have you ever heard of a Chick-fil-A crashing in because of an earthquake?
Oh, no.
Well, our school did, so I'd rather have the guys at Chick-fil-A build it, because they made it through the earthquake.
Yeah. This is just absolutely.
And then I'm looking through some emails, and I see where Park Hill invites all the administrators down to San Antonio at one of those conferences and said, hey, we're going to have all the drinks, all the food, come hang out. And I'm like, when I've built stuff, I've never had the architect invite me to anything. They send you plans and say, don't call me.
Yep.
They don't want, but no, this guy.
We're going to have a whole conference and all of y'all can come.
Man, y'all
all expenses paid.
Just let us know how many people are coming. And then I seen one where they said, oh, hey, when we do the grand opening for McGill, you know, they're going to be taking the pictures. Hey, can you sponsor Kona Ice? And, you know, you prepay for all this. Oh, yeah, we'll pay for. I'm like, why would your architect be paying for? And then I saw one you remember you were saying that there was that one builder that did really good. And then that other builder, they're still working on it.
Yeah.
I seen an email to them. They're like, well, you know, hey, we're running a little behind, but can you bring us 20 golden shovels and this many hard hats and all that? And he's like, oh, yeah, no problem. So they'll ask for stuff, but the guy's 4 months behind. They won't hold him accountable.
Yeah.
And what really got me is you know how hard it is. Like if you wanted to get on a on a lease with a major,
Uh-huh.
you know how hard the insurance is, right?
Yes.
I mean, you know, like
Oh,
you
yeah.
said you were
Oh,
asked
yeah.
about, you know, you got to have 5 million, 10 million, 10 million. You want to be with Chevron, 10 million, 20 million.
Yeah. And
plus-
an umbrella on top of
and
that.
an umbrella on top of that. You know what the umbrella policy was for the guy that's building Fannin?
I'm afraid to even ask.
1 million, 2 million. And with a 5% residual. We're only going to hold back 5% in case you screw us. We're going to prepay you all the rest.
Yeah. Oh, man.
Can you imagine being like, I'm going to start a new company, and they're like, all you need is 1 million, 2 million. I'm like, woo, let's
That's
go.
crazy.
But you go to
Anybody could do that then.
Oh, yeah.
Shit.
So that means that's what I told you. Anybody can go build a school. I was like, I thought for sure it'd be 5-10 or maybe more.
Uh-huh.
But when I saw the AIA contract and it said a 5% holdback,
Yeah.
and then 1 million, 2 million, I'm
Yeah.
like, dude, there's lawn guys that carry 1 million, 2 million.
Yeah.
You want to mow the CVS?
I'm a single person pumper and I carry $1 million.
$1 million.
Yeah.
per
$1.
million
Man,
per incident and 2 million on the umbrella.
Sounds like I'm gonna start building some buildings. I'm gonna
So-
start building schools.
And they pay you all the money right up front.
Well, worst case,
They
you
only
could,
hold back 5%.
yeah, the worst thing, you could just totally screw the pooch and they only hold back 5%. So
Yeah.
Damn.
they're still working on Fannin.
Damn.
What are we
That is
doing?
Wild.
We're in the wrong business.
That's
I'm
wild.
telling you.
And you know, a lot of these guys, all they do is like, okay, cool, we'll do the job, and then they'll go and hire a bunch of subcontractors.
Subcontractors.
They don't even.
They hire all those kids that didn't make it.
There you go. There you go.
It's like it's just like
They can all talk
it's
to
like
each other.
it's like Akuma Matata. I mean, it's just the circle of life. It's like, oh, you can't read? Well, you want to build the next school? How about
Yeah.
that?
You know, in this,
That's smart.
it was San Jacinto was the one with the earthquake issue. Does it say like what damage exactly? I mean, yeah, it said it was a foundation, but did it like crack the floor? Did it separate
So
a
yeah,
building?
some of the main beams broke, and then that caused the subfloor. And what's
Okay.
scary?
So there is visible damage.
Oh yeah. And what's scary is that they said that the earthquake exerted the same force as like a large UPS truck driving past your house at like 40 miles. You know, like when a
Oh yeah.
Like
I
if-
didn't even feel it.
like if you're
I didn't
on-
even know it either.
If you're like in your house and like you're on a cul-de-sac or little street and a semi goes by, you're like, hey, what's that? You know, because you're not used to it.
yeah.
They said that's the same amount of energy that was disseminated into the foundation was like a semi truck going past it on the highway.
That's crazy. And there's actually right there on that street. There's always semis that drive up and down that street.
So they said that it had nothing to do with it. And then if you read into the thing, they redacted a lot of it. They said that the school, and this is how smart the school is, because I would have been like, no, don't show them that. They had some plans from 1977 where they did some upgrades. And in the plans, there was some cracks noted in the foundation. And when they went to go inspect it, those same cracks were still there from 1977.
Oh, wow.
So they're like, yeah, this was pre-existing. Because the cracks that you noted in 77 are still there. You never
Damn.
fixed them.
That is so
They've been screwing them for a long time.
a long time.
Not them,
Jeez.
screwing us, because that's who's getting screwed.
That's who's paying it.
Yeah. So that whole thing should have never happened. And we were 1 week away from catastrophe because it said that failure happened with a dead load. Had it been a live load, people in it, it would have been even more deflection.
Yeah.
So had those kids been in there, because all that damage happened with no load. They call it a dead load. There's nothing there. It's just you're sitting there, and it gives. But can you imagine if there had been 400 kids running around?
Oh yeah, that'd
It would have even failed more.
Yeah.
And so we were 1 week away from who knows.
Wow.
And then they lie to us and say, "Oh, it was the earthquake," and then, "Oh, it was past its prime. Oh, it's the."
Yeah.
And then you see that email, which I'll put it out, and if you want to throw it out there so
Okay.
people
Yeah.
can
No,
see
hell
it.
yeah.
They knew in 2023 all it needed was a little help, and they didn't do it.
Dang.
That's
Crazy.
And then I'll even get you the picture of where here's that. It's bigger than a 4x4 because back in 1900, it's dimensional lumber,
Yeah.
so it's big. And you can see the little bit of the crack, and then you can just see where a guy got a 2x4 and nailed it here and nailed it here across the crack.
And that doesn't do shit. That doesn't do anything.
No,
Just a band-aid on it. That's it.
because I
This
mean,
makes me sick, man.
and so they knew about it and didn't do nothing about it. And then I find the thing from the engineer, the SKGs, our local engineers, and they said, okay, for Reagan, we need, if you want to get one more year out of it, it's $75,000. If you want to get 2 years out of it, 2 or 3 years, it's going to be about 150. And then if you just want to fix it right, it's 500. So over the summer, they paid a local contractor, $27,000 to go in there and put some poles in. So right now, Reagan is susceptible to the same damage because they only spent $27,000.
You know what? Now that I think about it, Reagan is pier and beam too.
Yeah.
Well, they were built 1 year apart.
Yeah, because I went to school there, and even on the first floor, you can hear it as you're going across. I
just don't understand the logic, though. If you're being told by an engineering firm what it's going to take to fix it, and even as this local contractor that went out and did it.
Well, he did what they told him. They told him.
Well, I understand that. But
they said spend $27,000, and that's what they did.
Yeah,
they should have spent the $500 and been done with it. Because the school hasn't been closed yet. So that's the problem. Like, my kid went to Bowie, and I was trying to get stuff for him. Mm-hmm. But Bowie's on the closure list, so they don't want to invest any more money in it because they're like, but my whole thing is, it's like if you're going to go trade in a car and you need a tire, you're not going to put brand new tires on it. You're going to just be like, let's patch it, let's mix. I'm fixing to trade it in, who cares? But with schools, until you close it, you have to pretend it's going to be
a brand new car. Yeah,
you still have to change the oil. You still have to rotate the tires. But see, when I kept trying to get help for Bowie, I was like, I'll pay for the lab. We don't want your money. Well, I'll do this. We don't want your money. If you wanted that, you need to go to Fort Concho. I'm like, but I want to stay here with my kid and my friends. And they're like, no. And then I found out, well, they don't want the school to do better because then it's harder to close.
Yeah, they're dead set on shutting that thing down.
And so same thing with Reagan. They're like, if we can squeeze one more year out of it, they're like, well, we need to spend 75. And they're like, can we do 27? Can you do 27? Is that cool?
Damn, that's just fucking. That is so mind blowing.
And then here's another statistic: is our superintendent makes $27,000 a month.
Yeah, didn't they just get raises?
He declined the raise.
Oh, okay.
Because
all the backlash, I'm sure.
Well, no, because he gets evaluated. So I have his contract here, and so every year he gets evaluated, and so he didn't want to get that little raise. He wanted the big raise. So. Now, our highest paid administrator got $5,700. So the person that was in charge of this department that got the complaints, the person that was in charge of it, the one person went to HR, but the person that was in charge of the whole thing, she got $5,700. And if you go back on her, I've put it out before. You can go back on my old one. 5 years ago, she was making 86. She's making over 190 now. In 5 years, she bumped up that fast.
Damn.
Wow.
It was like
qualifications
bam,
was that?
bam, bam, bam. They just hitting her with these equity raises because someone else made more than her and it wasn't fair. So it wasn't merit. It wasn't that you actually did anything.
Damn.
Wow.
It was just someone made more than you and it just doesn't seem fair.
And what is the qualifications required for her job?
That particular one's a PhD. So, I mean, you got to go to school, but that don't mean you know how to do it.
No, I don't mean shit. It means you can regurgitate what you were told.
Yeah. And then, like, what cracks me up is I asked one of the admin people, the one that's in charge of all the kindergartners, and I'm like, always ask, whenever you meet those smart people, ask them what their dissertation's on. And I was like, what's your dissertation on that you got your PhD? She's like, the mental strains on female administrators in the state of Texas.
Oh, my God.
I'm like, so you wrote a whole paper and got a PhD on shit that don't matter.
Yeah. How isn't fair?
Well, I'm like, why don't we do that same study on kids? Mm-hmm. The mental anguish of kids that go to ESL and can't go anywhere else or have none of the nice stuff. Why don't we?
Right.
Yeah. How does it make them feel? Do they, hey, kid, how do you feel? No, we know. You know, I would like to play with the good stuff, but no, not for me.
Yeah, not here.
Not here, because I know
I got my cup with my string and my ball.
Damn.
But they said that.
Not the cup, but the ball.
But they said maybe someday I could build a school. Is that okay?
I was like, oh, yeah, you don't need anything for that.
You have to learn English.
Yeah.
Okay.
All you need is $1 million GL. You know how to pour concrete?
Yeah.
That's fucking
and it's funny because the concrete guy from over there said he couldn't get paid, and he asked me, who do I contact? And I had to tell him who to send the letters to.
Really?
Damn.
And I said, well, you better hurry because I only got a 5% holdback. And when he told me his concrete bid was, I'm like, you better get in there soon because that money's going to be gone.
Oh,
Crazy.
So yeah, well that's crazy
Yeah,
because
yeah.
who am I? I'm some dude. My kid goes to school, and people are reaching out to me because nobody at the school district will even answer them.
That's
How long
sad.
did it take you? I mean, well, obviously it took a while to get these, but
So I've been fighting them for about 2 years because I was fighting local. Like I was fighting the principal. Like, why do my kids play with Legos when they have 3D printers over there?
Yeah.
I want a 3D printer. And so I was fighting like the local people, and they kind of rope-a-dope you, they keep you,
Yeah.
oh, we're going to do this, and you're just like, oh, yeah.
Yeah. He said it's gonna give me some good shit.
Yeah,
Nothing ever comes. Yeah.
Yeah, and then I said, you know what, I'm going to, you always think, like you watch Aaron Brockovich, oh, I'm going to go and, raise hell. So I go up to the school board meeting and start talking to them, and they're just like, look at this guy.
yeah.
He thinks we're going to listen to him. And so when that guy finally told me, hey, dude, we ain't going to do nothing for you. Why don't you just go pound sand? And that's when I knew. I was like, well, I can either go pound sand and for the rest of my life know that, if it was just me, I probably wouldn't care. But I'm like, dude, don't mess with my kid.
Right.
I told him that. I was like, don't mess with my kid. I was like, dude, I don't care what you say. Call me fat, call me old. Cause they all think I'm stupid, whatever. I don't. They all laugh at me when I go up there and talk. I don't care, but don't mess with my kid. Yeah. And then I started thinking, God, if they do this to my kid, can you imagine? And then these people reached out to me, the parent and the people that did that OCR thing, and they were like, we saw you on the TV, and you're the only one that stands up, and we wanted to, show you what we got. And I'm like, hey, run with it, and and they're real private people, and I'm like, but I'll throw your stuff out there.
Yeah.
And so, they're like feeding me information, and I'm like, I got nothing to lose. And then other people come, teachers, hey, this is what they're doing over here. And hey, it's every day I get more stuff.
So it just seems like there's this little subculture of teachers and people in the system.
And they're afraid to come forward.
To talk. Yeah, because it's like, look, this is shit that's going on. But if we speak up, we're out of a job.
Yeah.
we're never.
Livelihood, yeah.
Well, it's like whack-a-mole.
Yeah.
If they pop their head up, they get hit
Back down.
Now, if all 9 of them popped up at once, they couldn't do it. But they manage with fear.
So you got to get the numbers up. That's what it is.
We
right?
need more people to get involved.
Yep.
And just like this meeting that's coming up next week, where I'm sure they've already decided they're gonna vote on the bond.
Yeah.
We need to get in there and say, hey, you lied to us about the school. You lied about this. You didn't tell us about this. There's no way we're trusting you with $500 million. Yeah. We need a reset.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And also, you want to run it in May when only 5% of the voters are going to show up?
Yeah.
I'm like, why would you do that? If it was me, if I was trying to pass something, I would want it to be when the most people showed up. That way, if the naysayers came, I'm like, hey, this meeting, there was 50,000 voters. 30,000 of them showed up, and of that 30,000, 70% said yes. You know what I mean? Instead of, hey, let's do it in May when only 5% show up. It's old people that don't have to pay the bond, and see if we can sneak it through.
Yeah.
And then once we get the money, they can't stop us. So
where do they do this voting at?
At the school board.
At the school board.
And it scares me.
At the administration building off of Knickerbocker.
Yeah. And I think it's usually on a Monday, but I think next week's might be on a Tuesday. I don't know if there's a holiday coming up.
It'll be a Tuesday, like at 2:30 p.m.
Well, they voted to close San Jacinto. I put that out at 2:00 that day, and nobody knew that they didn't tell the PTO president.
Yeah.
They didn't tell anybody.
Damn.
All they did was they went and pulled the teachers into a room and said, they talk about me. They said, hey, you might hear something on the internet, but don't believe everything you read. And then
whatever, China.
And then nobody knew they were going to vote on it. And the parents that did show up, they only had a 3-hour notice because someone read mine and said, what, they're closing our school? Yeah, they're voting on it tonight. Nobody told us.
Yeah.
And then you saw they escorted that guy out. He was up there.
Yes.
Oh, I did see that.
He wrote a whole speech, and he's just like everybody else. His daughter goes to school. He's got a full-time job.
Yeah, how do they do that? You're there in a public meeting. How are they able to kick you out? And then some of the stuff you said you were getting the paperwork was redacted. It's public information.
Well,
I don't understand.
If you read some of these, when I was asking for information, they said, oh, well, he doesn't want this information because he wants the truth. He wants it because he's a terrorist, and by knowing which foundation's cracked, he could use that to go blow the school up.
Yeah.
And I'm like, you already blew the school up. What am I
Yeah.
going to blow it up twice?
Yeah, that's crazy.
And
So,
yeah,
that's
regardless
what
of what I want to do with it, it's
I
still
did see
public
that in there.
information.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that
I
they
saw
say
that.
that, this could be used for terroristic activities.
Yeah.
So that's why we don't want to
Fucking
give it to you.
bullshit. God, that's
Yeah.
such bullshit.
That's crazy.
God, that's such bullshit.
So, but what scares me is if they get this bond through, I'll be 78. What are you going to be in 30 years?
In 30 years, I'll be 73.
And you?
In how many years?
30 years.
Oh, I'll be dead.
Okay, so you're going to be paying on this till you're dead, fool.
Yeah.
You'll be 70.
So my kid's going to be paying on this bad decision.
Yeah, that's sad.
Because he's 12 now. Let's say he buys his first house when he's 22. He's going to be paying on this bad decision for 20 years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he got nothing out of it.
How much are we paying? We're still got quite a ways with this last bond, right?
20, 30. Yeah, we still have quite a. I mean, it's 30 years from then. So
I just feel like
I think it's 28.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know as cheesy as it sounds, but I mean, it's kind of like we need a Doge on the local level.
No, I want to call it DOSE. They need a dose of reality. The Department of School Efficiency.
Damn. There you
Damn.
go.
I'm like, we
I
need
like
a
that.
dose.
How does that happen? Is the school the superintendent? That's a voted position.
So no, so you vote for the school board, and then the school board hire the superintendent.
Okay.
And him and Kingman are like this. They brought him in to get that money, get us that bag. We don't care if the scores go down. You get us that Prop A and you get us that bond. So what happens when you get to this certain level? Your retirement is based on your best 5 years.
Okay.
So he went from making like $200,000 a year to making $324,000 a year. So if he can hang in for 5 years, he'll get like 80. He'll be making over $200,000 a year in retirement.
Wow.
So he's here to get that bag. So when he goes up, he loves to tell everybody, my granddad was a preacher, my dad was a preacher, and the way that I've served the Lord is the kids. And then he does stuff like this. I'm like, did the Lord tell you to shove all the Hispanic kids in there and not let any of them in the GT and not fix the school? Because the guy I pray to,
That's a facade. He's atheist.
he don't tell me that. So every time he does that church stuff, I'm like, dude,
It's because he knows people are going to eat it up.
well,
Oh, yeah.
but now they're starting to feel they're about got a belly full of it.
Yeah.
So and they give him a year. Well, he hit his year, and the Mexicans are still shoved in a hole. We still lost our school, and you still haven't done anything.
Yeah. That's like just shutting more fucking schools down.
Except for make $1,000 a day.
Damn.
Every day, $1,000 shows up at his house. $1,000. Tomorrow, another $1,000.
With all this being said, everybody that's listening, the only way that anything can really change is if everybody got together and went and actually voted versus people that don't. I mean,
so
you have to know what's going on to go and vote.
So right now, there's 4 board positions open. Bill Dindal, Lupita, who's not running, Mizell Flint, and I think Gerard. And nobody ever runs against them.
So they run unopposed.
So they run unopposed, and then they, so Kingman would be hard because he's from Santa Rita. They're the Santa Rita Mafia. They're gonna back him.
Yeah.
Mizell Flint, she's over in the Bowie area. I mean, if someone ran against her, I mean, I would say, hey, I'm not gonna lie to you, and I'm not gonna shut down Bowie, because when they said shut down Bowie, she didn't even flinch. She didn't fight for that school, nothing. Lupita's not running. There's some lady that already signed up, but she was on that facility board, and if you look at her Facebook, she's one of them.
So do you know any like-minded people that would sit there and, hey,
I don't know.
we'll put on
So if anybody, you got I think till the 14th to decide, but if anybody wants to run, and I don't know, like earlier you said, well, I don't know nothing about it, I will teach you.
Yeah.
I will teach you.
And that's where I'm at. That's like,
I will
I'll run
teach
from here.
you.
I need 5 guys.
But
I will give you all the information. I will show you the statistics. I will lead you down the road where then you can help make better decisions than the ones that you've made.
Yeah. So that's running for the board, but to actually make something happen regarding this,
I think
enough people have to vote.
If they don't get that
against
bond
it.
money, they're
Is that
not
right?
going to have a choice. Something's going to have to give.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is, in order for this to not go through, enough people have to show up to
Right.
vote against it.
Right.
Is that right?
And you have to outvote the 5% that normally show up, and then they're going to turn out their 1,300 employees.
Yeah.
because the last bond was within 2 votes.
So you probably need about 5,000 to 10,000 people.
So
to
really,
overturn
they
it.
shouldn't be doing it in May. They should be doing it in a November election, like a governor election, a senator election. But they're placing their odds. You know, they're like, red or black. We got to have that 00 hit. You know.
Yeah, exactly. Yep.
But you know how hard it is to get that 00.
Oh yeah.
We're behind the. You know.
Yeah.
And they know that. And if they get that $400 million, you're going to get a golden coffin. You're going to get some really good stuff. I mean, what are they going to do on the north side? They're going to put some locker rooms at Lakeview and fix a parking lot.
Yeah.
They're not. They
15 minutes right there.
They already said they're not putting it in elementary. They're not doing none of that.
Damn.
They're going to for sure close Reagan. They're going to stick you into those 2 PEG schools. And sayonara.
That's it.
That's it.
My game's over.
And then you get the pleasure of paying
And then you pay it for 30
the
years.
next 30 years.
Nice.
That's a good clip right there, Tiffany.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I don't know what to say, but if they don't get the money, they're going to have to admit some things. I mean, it's
That's
like
what I
said,
want.
it's
That's
like,
what I want. I want it to come out. I don't want them to get the money because I want all the bullshit to finally come out.
Well, it has to come out and then figure out what the true needs are and then do a bond. I mean, there needs to be like a $20 or $30 million bond. So like right now, there's 200 air conditioners in the district that are over 20 years old. It's $6 million to replace them. I said, why don't you do a $6 million bond and say, over the next 3 years, we're going to fix all these air conditioners. People would be like, hey, that makes sense because my air conditioner, when it went out, once they hit 20 years, it's every day is a crap shot. You know, you might come home and, and it's always like, on a Friday and you're tired and then you walk in and your wife's pissed off because it's hot and you can't get no one to answer the phone. Yeah. You know what I mean?
That's completely understandable. Yeah, people would get that.
Yeah. And like right now at McGill, they're replacing at Fannin, they're replacing those heaters because the heat exchangers are cracked. And that can allow...
You were telling me about that.
Yeah, and they're still using them. And I said, well, when are you going to fix them? Well, they're on back order when they get here. I'm like, so we're just going to let carbon monoxide go into the school?
Damn.
I'm like...
They're not even testing them for carbon monoxide.
No, I asked them, I said, every start, if you got a unit over 15, mean time to failure is probably about 15 years. Mm-hmm. And then at 20 years, it's like, and then some of those are 25 years. Those were installed in 1997. And the heat exchangers are cracked and you're still using them?
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Only at the school.
Yeah.
Like, this is what gets me is like when something happens at the pound, everybody goes crazy. Like if I said, hey, there's these heaters at the pound and the heat exchangers are cracked and it could kill all those dogs. I mean, they would be out there with pitchforks.
You got to make a post like that.
And
talk about the school and be like, they found 2 dead puppies. Watch people comment and like, see, no one even gives a shit about the schools.
Yeah.
They're more worried about the puppies.
That's what I should do next time when I said, like, hey, the foundation failed at the pound and now we're gonna have to move all. And then they're like, oh my god, I'm like, oh, never mind, that was San Jacinto. Oh, well, that's cool.
That'd be perfect.
But when they thought it was the pound, it was like
all over it.
Dude, they're coming in with the people's elbow. I mean, they're pissed off. And then you're like, oh no, I got my story wrong. That wasn't the pound, it was San Jacinto. And they're like, oh, okay. Well, here, hand me my drink.
Yeah.
Like, I thought we were going to have to protest, but we're cool now.
Shit.
So next week, they decide if they're going to vote.
Okay.
And then mark my words, if they decide they're going to vote, the day after they vote, they're going to be hitting you with all this propaganda. And so they had this program called Bring Your Dad to School, and they paid $90,000 for it. And so they did the first half of it with Prop A. And then no one's said a word about Bring Your Dad to School. And I guarantee if that bond goes in, all of a sudden here comes Bring Your Dad to School, and they're going to tell you about, hey, if you care about your kids, man, you got to give us that bag.
Yeah.
You got to give us that bag, son.
Try to give you a guilt trip.
Yeah, man. And you know what's funny is that was Title I money. They could have used that $90,000 to fix San Jacinto, and they didn't. Instead, they paid some dude. And I was like, who are they paying? There's some guy in Fort Worth. He's only got a P.O. box. You can't even find his address. You can't find his phone number, nothing. Paid him $90,000 to do Bring Your Dad to School Day.
What the hell?
And if you look him up, dude, he's a ghost. You can't find nothing. He's got a P.O. box, and that's it.
He's Ukraine.
Yeah,
right.
I would think you would probably be easier to find someone in Ukraine.
No, but I'm saying
this dude.
He's the money laundering scheme, like the way they use Ukraine. Like,
he's a fucking some LLC in a strip mall.
Yeah, it's a shell company.
It used to be at his house because he lived like in Weatherford, and then when he redid his thing with the state of Texas, now it's just a P.O. box.
Yeah,
I'm like, so we send a check, a $90,000 check to a P.O. box in Fort Worth. And then he comes down here with 2 balloons and goes, "Yay, bring your dad to school." And
That's crazy.
And then he deuces. He's gone.
Fuck, that's a dude.
That's what I'm saying.
That's a CIA agent. That's who that is.
No,
I'm just saying.
It's a fucking
I'm
Ukraine
tell you right
scenario.
now,
When we send all that money to fucking Ukraine.
Gonna start
Just
up
a lot of the
business,
money.
Yeah.
You need to let him be the face man. You need to let him be you do the money. This guy, because like you kind of scare me a little. This guy right here, like I'll send you the 90,000, and then you come to school with the balloons.
You go there with the balloons, yeah.
If you
He's
pull
like-
up in a van with some balloons and some puppies and shit, I'm probably calling the cops.
He's like, he would be there early in the morning.
I'm like, son, do not take candy from that guy. I'm telling you right now. This guy, probably
He's
cool.
all right.
You know,
all right.
he's driving a
funny.
he's got a big jacked up truck.
I'm gonna go on Fiverr and find this guy. Hey, I need you to.
You got Fluffy over here in the VW van.
Don't trust him.
No.
Yeah, that is crazy, man.
So hey, maybe we can start a little side business. Bring your dad to school.
I
Go.
shit's worth $90,000.
Well, it's
yeah.
It's $90,000 a year. There's 15 elementaries, and it's 30 minutes twice. So that's what 15 hours.
That's a good payday.
You got 5 hours. You got 5 on it. You got 5 on
Sure,
it.
yeah.
I got 5 on it, and then we split the bag.
That's
fool.
crazy.
That's 30 grand each for 5 hours.
Yeah, and after that, we'll go and work on ACs
Oh,
for
dude.
the school.
I'm telling you, that's where the jack is right there.
We'll get old Manuel, who didn't get
$20,000
didn't invest
a
in
unit.
ESL.
$20,000 for a 4-ton unit. That's what they're paying right now.
Damn, that's crazy.
Man, that is.
Can you
insane.
imagine that you go to your house? Most people have a 5-ton. It's pretty standard. And you call the AC guy, and he's like, 20 stacks, son. You're like, what?
The fuck?
Yeah.
What do you
Like,
mean
get the
20
fuck out of my
stacks? I
What is
see
it?
people die for less.
What is
You know what I
what is
mean?
it? A $6,000 or $8,000? I think is the standard unit for a house right now.
To install?
Yeah,
I had mine. They quoted me 13,000.
13,000.
And
Well-
that's not even replace the duct. This replace the fucking inside
Yeah,
and outside
the unit. Yeah.
The unit itself
But
was
see,
like
these
$8,000.
these are package units, so they're not split.
Yeah.
They just go on top. You have to get
On top of the building.
Yeah, but you got to just get a changeover plenum. So your new one, and then they put a little plenum in there, and it's got like for noise.
Yeah.
And so you got to build this little thing. So the unit's probably 7. Labor's probably 3 or 4 per unit because you're doing 10 all at once.
Yeah.
So you get economy of scale.
Damn.
And they're charging. You know what's messed up is they said 10 units, 190 something thousand. That engineering firm I told you about,
Yeah.
Park Hill,
Yeah.
they charged 40 to spec the bid.
God damn.
So they charged $40,000 to tell them what size ACs to buy.
That's crazy.
They're like, you need 10 ACs. That'll be 40 stacks, please,
Thank you. Now you got to pay some other guy $200,000
to install them. I'm like, dude, I could tell you. Let's see.
Engineering's a racket, man.
We need 4.
All you gotta do is know the square footage of the building.
Yeah, we know
That's
that.
it.
Yeah, but
That's
they
all you
need-
have to know, and then that's how you decide what size unit you need. That's
Yeah, but-
fucking ridiculous.
Well, but it was hard for them because they had to do 8 4-ton units and 2 5-ton units, and previously there was 10 5-ton.
Oh my god.
And so, like when they were calculating, they were like,
they were like, do,
Oh.
do, do, do.
Yeah.
"Yeah, they're
These
like,
are oversized. These are undersized.
yeah, man." So
You know what's even crazier?
40 G's.
Is you're dealing with people that are in charge of these places that have PhDs. They could have fucking did it themselves. They have the education.
No, they don't. They don't know nothing about construction because the guy that's in charge of construction,
I mean,
when he was talking about the foundations, it's on the school board thing. He's like, "Oh, we went underneath, and the floor's falling, and so they put a piece of wood and." You know that triangle thing they hold the door open with? They got one of those and they hit it in and then it made it better. And that's the guy that's giving out the bids.
And I believe that, man. When we first went through my first buyout,
yeah.
I had this the guy who bought this the old lease that I was working on. And of course we did the whole switching to the company and shit like that. And then he comes over and he's like, "Hey, what's this thing at the end of the tubing?" And I stopped and I'm like, You're the engineer here. I was like, "You don't know what a tubing regulator is?" He's like, "What's it for?" And I'm like, "You're fucking with me, right?" I was like, "You got to be fucking
You're
with me."
testing me to see if I know.
Honestly, he had no goddamn clue. No clue. Why I don't understand why we have him on there. Let's take him off because this was he's passed now.
Yeah.
But I'm just like, he was fucking with me, right? No, but he went and changed everything on that lease. And I'm like, yeah, this is not going to work. How do you not know this? I work for you.
Yeah.
Right.
You know, my job is to optimize this, optimize the lease as much as I can. And you're coming and fucking it all up.
Yeah.
But then again, I mean, it wasn't his fucking.
And when you talk to the maintenance guys here that make $18, $19 an hour,
they know what to do.
They say the same thing. They're like, "Dude, we told them to do X, Y, Z, and they went and did this instead."
Yeah.
And now look, they knew that foundation was going to fail.
It's crazy.
And they wouldn't listen. They wouldn't listen to the maintenance guy. They wouldn't listen to the engineer.
Yeah. Like, again, you can get those maintenance guys a stipend, and they would probably go up there and put the unit up in half the time.
Exactly right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Go to Sunbelt, get them a SkyTrack.
Now, but you guys ain't qualified because you guys didn't graduate.
Well, see, there's
You
all
can't
that.
read the instructions.
There's all that bullshit too. You know what I mean? Like, well, you got to have the certification. You can't just, this and this and that. That's what it comes down
Not
to.
on the package. They come pre-charged.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is, like, does the SAISD require you to have such and such certification to even get on the fucking building?
Oh,
Which is
you know what I mean?
You got to be forklift certified.
Yes, exactly. You know all that shit.
I forgot about that.
All of that shit.
We hired a company that's certified, but none of their hands are.
Exactly. See?
None of their hands are certified to be doing it. Yes, he does.
Yeah.
Or I'm saying in paper he does.
They operate under his certification.
But you have to go find a translator who's going to translate the directions to this guy who was in ESL class that graduated from the school to put the fucking unit on top of the building. Makes no sense.
Yeah, it's crazy, man.
So, hopefully someone will step forward and run for the board. But if that doesn't happen, because that's a big ask.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If they do decide to go for that money, we can't give it to them all at once.
Yeah.
You think Central has a copper roof? I'm telling you, they are going to be. I mean, you go back to Tom Green County Appraisal District. Mm-hmm. Our county is appraised. Like if Elon Musk came and said, "I want to buy Tom Green County," our county's appraised at $6.5 billion.
You could buy the city.
No, the whole county.
Oh, God, you bought the county.
And they want us to give them $500 million to fix a couple of schools.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Yep.
I mean, I could see if the county was worth $100 billion and now you need $500 million, you need 1% to fix the schools.
Yeah.
But it's like you need more than 10% of the total value of the county just to fix 3 schools.
So
it doesn't make any sense.
That doesn't make any sense. That is wild. In those terms that you just put right there, it sounds fucking ridiculous.
It sounds ridiculous. Absolutely.
Well, I mean, you can look at the
ridiculous.
thing where the guy came out and he said, "Yeah, Tom Green County is worth $6.5 billion, and so off of that we get this much tax revenue and this much." And I'm like,
yeah,
6.5, and you want us to give you $500 million to fix 3 or 4 schools?
That's crazy.
When we could buy the whole, driving all the way to Merchant, driving all the way out there.
Yeah.
Is only $7 billion, but we need $500 million just to fix a couple of schools.
It's crazy.
Am I like the stupidest guy in the world, or does this sound weird?
So some people that fit in the same shoes you do. I would like to get some names from you because I'd like to reach out and I'm like, look, you're as in this as everyone else, like this Carter girl. Why aren't you running? I get the intimidation where it's like, I don't know what to do. Like when I told you I wanted to run for mayor, I have no idea what I'm doing. But there's people in this community be like, hey, we'd like to help you out. We'd like to come up, in let's say a group and say, hey, this is what's going on. You already know half the shit anyway.
Let me tell it like this. So you said you were about roustabouts and
yeah.
Have you ever had that guy that you said, I would be safer if you just do nothing? If you just go sit in the truck.
I fired a guy.
I'm like,
same
dude,
fucking reason.
Goddamn, hell yeah, we did.
I'm like, if you ran for school board, if you literally did nothing, we would be better off.
Yeah.
If you sat there and said, okay, I'm not going to tear down any schools and I'm not going to lie to you. I'm just going to sit here and not do anything stupid.
Yeah.
We would be money ahead.
Yeah.
I don't need you to do nothing. I just need you to look intimidating.
And then just sit in the truck with the air conditioner on, I'm okay with that.
Yeah. Everybody's safer.
Because you'll do less damage than the people that are trying.
That's crazy.
Wow. Because he knows that guy. I saw him laughing. He's like, he's over there with a shovel, hitting that 2-inch, and and you're like, fool, if you go through that, we're gonna have.
That's a live line you're hitting.
Yeah.
This one?
This one right here?
You're like, can you please just go sit in the truck?
Yeah, man.
Oh, that's sad because I've let people go.
Or you're like, hey, you know what? Who are we gonna send to go do this? Send him. Because at least he won't screw anything up.
We need you to go pull the plug on that. The plug of that.
I don't know what y'all call it, but we always call it the hooter valve. I'm like,
the hooter valve?
Yeah, who's going to go check on the hooter valve and you send the new guy to go look for it?
Shit, we actually sent the guy into a reserve pit to pull the plug.
Did you?
Yeah.
He's down there like,
He's waist deep.
He's like, I can't feel it.
Oh, it was fucking hilarious.
He's like, it's like in the bathtub, but really big.
Yeah. I was like, you'll feel it. You'll hit that chain. All you got to do is go down there, pick it up, and pull the plug.
Yeah. I wasn't even in on the joke. I had pulled up to the field a little bit later on, and I'm getting out and I'm in my personal truck, so I'm putting on my boots and everything when I get there, and I'm looking at him. I was like, what are you doing? And he was like, well, they said I needed to pull the plug out of this so we can drain this thing. And I was looking where y'all were at, and I was like, well, you better hurry the fuck up.
You're like, dude, if this overflows, it's all our asses full. Man, that landowner's going to be over here. Oh, my God.
We had to go around that corner because I could not stop laughing, man. He's sitting there like that kind of, and then he go down and try to feel it, and he's literally up to here and drilling.
He felt like a rock, and he's like, I think I got, oh, no.
That's just a rock. Then he comes out, and we're laughing at him. He's like, oh, you guys are fucking with me. And I'm like, yeah, stupid. Where's it going to drain to? Is it going to drain into the ground? Is that what it's going to do?
You're like, but if we were in Australia, it would go the other way. Like, see, here it goes this way, fool. But like, if we were drilling, it would go this way.
Counterclockwise. That's hilarious. Virgil, man.
Hey, if nothing else, I hope you learned a little.
Oh, I learned a lot.
Absolutely.
I hope I made you laugh a little. I was trying.
Yeah.
I'm glad you're out there doing what you do, man.
Well,
somebody needs to be doing it.
I'm going to try to put it out there, and,
You're too busy to run, huh? Yeah.
Well, I don't know. You think about it, like I said, till the 14th, we all can run. Yeah. But,
I'm down to do it if you do it. I say, fuck it. We fuck the status quo and just everybody.
And I ain't wearing no suit.
Nah, man. I'm
rolling in there.
It's like after this meeting, I'm going to the gym.
There you go.
Because every time I was like, when we're at that saltwater disposal, and the worst thing is when you're changing plungers and you get that BS on you.
Oh yeah.
I'm going straight to the board with that stuff on me.
Hell yeah.
Because it's like it gets in your skin. You can't get rid of it. It's like it don't matter how much.
They smell you before you get to the door.
Yeah, they'll be like, oh man, it's just that BS and W, baby. As long as I'm not more 1%, it still sells.
So I was always wondering, man, because I know the mayor has a lot of power, but what's the most influential positions in San Angelo that say, hey, it comes up for a vote? What are the most?
Well, most of the things are these boards then vote in the head guy.
The head guy. Okay, like the superintendent.
So like probably the person that does the most damage or potentially could do the most damage at the city is the city manager.
Yes. Okay.
And then like at the appraisal district, your taxes go up, it's the chief appraiser. And then at the school, it's the superintendent. But they're all voted in by the board. Boards. So the mayor and the city people vote in or decide who the city manager is. And that's why every time they want to put that chief of police, they don't want it voted for. They want that power.
Yes.
And we keep turning it down, and they keep trying to put it back on.
Yeah. I didn't know that. We're one
of the very few.
Yeah. Well, actually, I think in Texas, we're the only one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you vote in sheriffs, but not chief of police.
Yes.
And so then, like, this board votes in the superintendent, and then if they don't like what he does, they can fire him. And then, but that also gives them that we can I didn't know he was going to do that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then same way with the appraisal district. No one there's elected. They're all school board's elected.
The current guy was appointed.
Which one?
The one that's the chief appraiser right now. He was appointed by.
They're all appointed.
Yeah.
But the people that appointed him aren't voted in. They're
They've been appointed
They
themselves.
got appointed from the school district. So the school district, it's like you have to get in there. It's like a domino thing. So like if like say me, you, and some other person got into the school board, we could be like,
we could fuck some shit up.
We're gonna stack the deck at the appraisal district. They're gonna fire that guy. We're gonna get someone in, not to do anything wrong, but you know you can follow that plus or minus 5% that the state tries to hold him accountable to. He doesn't have to go crazy on us. And try to be 100%. I mean, there's leeway. And then when you go in there and you said, hey, my house has this damage, and they're like, oh well. I mean, why won't they listen? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That you could say, hey, I want you to start listening to people when they bring you pictures instead of tossing them out.
Abraham, you ready to become chief appraiser?
I don't want that job.
Fuck,
No, you got to have a license for that one.
Oh, damn.
Yeah.
So you have to have it. You have to go. It's not hard to get.
We'll put him through school.
Hey, we'll put you through school.
I don't want that job.
We're done. You know, taxes are over.
I'd fire everybody and shut the shit down. We're like, nope, none. We don't need this anymore.
That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
I'm not talking about keeping the status quo. I'm talking about changing shit.
Changing it up.
Changing it up. Let's dose.
Dose. Give them a dose of reality. Department of School Efficiency.
That's hell yeah.
And I want to give them a big dose. Like, you know, that NyQuil says 30 milligrams. No, you're getting 90.
Yeah.
You're going to sleep full.
You're getting that 20 milligram melatonin.
Yeah.
Hell yeah. Virgil, man, I appreciate you coming on.
Thanks for having me.
I really want you back on because it's mind blowing. This is absolutely mind blowing.
Well, you know what? Let's see what happens.
Let's pocket it.
If they put that bond on, we'll know next week. As it gets closer to time to vote, then we need to recap and try to drive the people out to vote.
Yeah.
Yes.
And say, look, guys, if you don't do something now, once you let the genie out of the bottle, that $400 million, it's gone.
Yeah.
I mean, they're gonna be making it rain, and it ain't gonna be on us.
Yeah.
It's gonna be on some guy in Lubbock and some guy in Austin and who knows, some guy that's got a P.O. box in Fort Worth. It ain't gonna be on the people.
That's crazy.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Oh, let's do it.
All right.
Should go out and vote, guys. God damn it.
That is one thing for sure. Yeah.
Go out and vote.
Yeah.
There was a lot of good shit here, and I don't even know where to end it. You know, it's kind of one of those. It's a lot of information. I'm gonna have to go back and listen to this a few times because it was a lot. You know, It's hard to absorb a lot of it because I'm too busy thinking about one thing when you're talking about something else.
Let me end with one thing.
Go ahead.
If your kids goes to this school and you think you're being done wrong, it's not you, it's them.
Yeah.
There's proof that, you know, like if you need help with special ed or you need this and it seems like it's hard on purpose. Yeah. It's not that you're doing something wrong. It's they're not giving you what you deserve.
Yeah.
So don't give up. That's your kid, and it's not you. You're not doing something wrong by asking for help.
Yeah.
They've purposely stacked it against you.
They made it hard on you. So don't think you're drowning by yourself. There's plenty more drowning with you.
Yeah.
But they don't want you to meet those other people because then they're afraid that, you know, if you get enough drowning people, you'll come together and build a raft.
Yeah.
They don't want you. They want to keep you compartmentalized.
Yeah.
So it ain't your fault.
God damn.
It's the system.
God
there you
damn.
go, guys.
What a perfect way to end it. Guys, thank you for listening. We'll see you on the next one. What it do?
What it do?